Chapter 3981. Damn it. Lung Rufin's face was gloomy. He waved his hand, and a white bone spear appeared in his hand. He stabbed forward. It carried a terrifying power and aura. Lung Rufin was able to stand side by side with the 9 Qilins. One could imagine how powerful he was. He was definitely not weaker than the 9-headed Qilin. Following his attack, 9 white bone figures soared into the sky and charged towards Lin Xian. Buzz. Lin Xian was fearless. The sun sword appeared in his hand, and the sun law burned fiercely. These white bone creatures all had a cold aura. The sun law and 9 yang divine fire completely restrained them. Coupled with the power of the sword law, he was truly unstoppable. Pung pung pung. The 9 white bone figures were split apart. This sword light slashed towards the old bone spear. With a loud clang, the white bone spear was forced back. Lin Xian took a step forward and slashed out with his sword. This sword was fast to the extreme. No one could react. Even the saints did not see it clearly. With a poochie, blood splattered as a figure retreated. Lung Rufin retreated, holding his shoulder. His face was extremely pale. There was a bloody hole in his shoulder, and blood flowed out. He was injured. He was actually injured by the other party's sword. It was too unbelievable. How strong was the other party? Previously, he had been disdainful, thinking that he could suppress the other party and even kill him. But now the other party's strength terrified him. The people in the 8th district also screamed. No way, they had only chosen 2 leaders after a chaotic battle. Among them, Lung Rufin killed people like Scything Flax. A 5th layer saint could not even block a single move in his hands. Not to mention the White Bone army could resist the combined attacks of many saints. That battle was a shadow of their lives. They knew Lung Rufin's strength the best. But now, the incomparably powerful existence in their eyes could not even block a single strike from Lin Xian. Was the gap between them already this big? After seeing this, the people in the other districts also whispered. Some of the stronger followers had solemn expressions on their faces. Lin Wudi was one of the strongest among the chief disciples. I think he can be ranked in the top 3. And that's right. He was indeed very strong. However, he was not invincible. There were still some chief disciples who could suppress him. Are you talking about Jianqin? That's right. The strength of the head disciple of the Myriad Swords Pavilion was incomparably strong. He could definitely suppress this Lin Wudi. I think that the one from the Gu family should be able to do it too. Indeed, he was ranked 3rd at most, or perhaps not even in the top 3. Some people's expressions were cold. The people in the 8th district were stunned. Lung Rufin roared. Damn it, brat, you dare to look down on me? He flipped his wrist and took out a white bone fan. With a wave of his hand, a gust of cold wind blew, incomparably terrifying. It drowned Lin Xian. Go to hell. This was an extremely terrifying saint artifact. Lin Xian tore through the Yin wind and walked out. A Taiji diagram revolved around his body. What? He's not dead yet? Lung Rufin took a few more steps back. He was scared out of his wits. His opponent's strength had completely exceeded his expectations. Is that all you've got? Lin Xian coldly snorted as the death demonic blade appeared in his left hand. With a slash of the blade, the Yin wind in the sky was torn apart. The aura of death swept towards Lung Rufin. Not good. Lung Rufin's expression changed drastically. He felt his vitality slipping away. This was unbelievable. One had to know that he was someone from the Yellow Spring Hall. What he was most proficient in were Yin laws and power. But now, the other party was even more proficient in this power than him. How was this possible? He really didn't want to believe it. However, he also didn't want to fight. After using the White Bone Treasure Mountain to send out a few gusts of Yin wind, Lung Rufin continuously retreated. Lin Xian opened and closed, all kinds of sword energy surging, easily splitting apart all of the attacks. He forced Lung Rufin into a corner. Now he still dares to provoke me? Everyone was shocked. Lung Rufin gritted his teeth and said, Damn brat, do you dare to touch me? Our Yellow Spring Hall's experts are all geniuses on the pilgrimage list. Try touching me. Looks like you really don't know life from death. Is Yuquan strong? Didn't his younger brother also get killed by me? Do you think you can compare to Yu? Damn it. Lung Rufin's hair stood on end. Right, Even you died. The other party simply didn't have any misgivings. You win. He threw the 4 heavenly Tao golden lotuses into the sky and ran towards the 7th region. Soon, 10 great Tao chains appeared on Leng Wufeng's body. However, he let out a sigh of relief. This region had Yu Quan guarding it. The other party definitely didn't dare to rashly step into it. Lin Xian snorted coldly. He looked towards the 7th region. He didn't enter. This made Leng Wufeng let out a sigh of relief. But soon his expression became incomparably ugly. Lin Xian didn't attack him. Instead, he attacked his subordinates and fellow sect members. In the 8th region, apart from Leng Wufeng, there were also some Yellow Spring Hall experts who were being attacked crazily. The sword auras easily split their bodies apart. Damn it! These people roared crazily. They originally wanted to join forces to attack, but they were quickly beaten until they collapsed. These people were helpless. They also wanted to escape to the 7th region to seek protection. However, soon, they stopped at the edge of the 7th region. Sword energy pierced through them. These people were all killed. Leng Wufeng's heart was bleeding. In the other region, which was the 2nd region, those people also looked solemn. Damn it! This Lin Wudi dared to kill so many experts of the Yellow Spring Hall. Emoshio turned his head. He held the white bone spear in his hand, and the yellow spring surged on his body. Do you really think that no one dares to kill you? Emoshio was on his way. He couldn't help but want to do it himself. However, at this moment, a voice sounded between heaven and earth. You're taking action in advance? Well, let's fight to our heart's content. With a roar, Wang Jianyi rushed towards the 2nd region and attacked Emoshio. Tianya, are the people on the pilgrim list going to fight? Retreat quickly. In the 2nd region, Emoshio's followers also retreated crazily. They didn't dare to get close at all. Between heaven and earth, countless sword energy descended from the sky, completely enveloping Emoshio. Wang Jianyi, if you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Emoshio roared. The yellow spring surged on his body, and the white bone spear in his hand was even more powerful. The two fought together, causing the sky to shatter and the earth to crack. Oh, since you've already attacked, then I won't be polite. In the 6th region, Qin Xiener, an incomparably beautiful and charming lady, also revealed a smile. Countless saints around her were infatuated. Their blood was boiling, and they couldn't wait to kneel under her skirt. However, Qin Xiener's gaze pierced through the void and looked at the 7th region. Yu Quan snorted coldly. He actually took the initiative to cross regions to fight. Chapter 3982. The only one who didn't make a move was Chao Tianxing in the 1st region. He stood there with his hands behind his back, looking into the distance. It seemed like he had no intention of making a move. Young master. The follower beside him asked tentatively. Chao Tianxing didn't turn around. Instead, he said, if you want to make a move, then do it. But do what you can. The destiny stone is right in front of you. Don't be impulsive and lose your life here. Yes, young master. We understand. Those followers retreated. Their eyes were shining with cold light. They also made a move. Of course, these people were fighting across different regions. Some of them went out of the region, while some of them came to fight. A fierce battle broke out. The others were stunned. They didn't expect a battle to break out so suddenly. This was something that even Lin Xian was surprised by. Was it because of him? He shook his head. He was just the first one to make a move. Even if he wasn't there, the others would definitely make a move. Especially those geniuses on the pilgrim list. They probably wouldn't give in to each other. Lin Xian stood in the 8th region. He turned around and said, Qingqing, you guys can make a move too. But remember to protect yourselves. Morong Qingqing and the others nodded. Sister Qingqing, let's work together. Li Hongxiu said with a smile. All right. The two beauties joined hands and rushed to the 8th region. Let's go to the 1st region to have some fun. Toad looked at the other region. There were many experts in that place too. Ruffian Dragon and the Northern Demon joined hands and rushed to the 1st region. Of course, there were also people coming to the 1st region. They didn't know what was good for them. Leijun snorted and thunder rumbled. The thunder directly pierced through these people. All kinds of screams were heard. The flames of war were burning in the 9 regions. None of them were spared. The 8th region. Lin Xian swept through everything after killing so many saints of the Yellow Spring Palace. The others didn't dare to fight against him. The only one who could still fight against him was the 9-headed spirit. However, 9-headed Qilin didn't fight. He rushed to the 7th region because he had the same idea as Lei Zhen. He didn't want to provoke Lin Xian before he broke through to the small saint realm. Qingcheng, you guys stay here while I make a trip to the 7th region. Lin Xian looked ahead again, his eyes shining with a cold light. His figure flickered as he charged toward the 7th region. The people in the 8th region were all stunned. Damn, was this kid trying to defy the heavens? Even Li Hongxiu exclaimed, "Brat, don't be too arrogant. Be careful, someone is targeting you." She was truly worried. After all, the 7th region was secluded Springs territory. Lin Xian laughed heartily. Yuquan was fighting with Qin Xiener on the world crossing chariot. She probably had no time to take care of him. As for the others, he was still unafraid. Soon, there were more than 20 chains of the Great Path on his body. The suppression of the power and nomological laws was even stronger. Lin Xian's body sank, but he quickly used his strength to adapt to the pressure. He actually dared to cross 2 regions. He was too arrogant. The people in the 7th region were also shocked. Those from the Great Desolate Mansion were filled with murderous intent. Kid, you killed one of our experts in the 9th district last time. Do you really think you're that strong? You're just occupying the home ground. Let's see how you're going to die here with 20 chains of Great Path suppression. 2 people from the Great Desolate Mansion roared as they slashed down with their sabers, shrouding Lin Xian. This was a terrifying mystique. Obviously, these people from the Great Desolate Mansion wanted to join forces to kill Lin Xian. Buzz. Lin Xian's figure flickered as he dodged the 2 saber lights. At the same time, he charged forward. He was courting death. Lung Rufin sneered as he attacked as well. The white bone fan in his hand kept fanning. Moreover, there was a terrifying white bone army around him. There was even a Yellow Springs diagram that was rotating in the sky. The Yellow Springs poured down from the inside, bringing with it an extremely cold and gloomy energy. However, it was useless. Lin Xian used all sorts of nomological laws and fought in all directions, causing these people to break down. 9-headed Qilin had been watching him from afar without making a move. At this moment, he was even more certain of his thoughts. It seemed like it was best not to provoke Lin Xian now. Lung Rufin was being hunted down again. He was about to pee his pants. How was this possible? Lin Xian had crossed 2 regions. There were 20 chains on his body. How could he defeat so many people when he was besieged by so many people? This was simply inhuman. His followers were even more miserable. 2 of them were killed while the other 3 were injured. Their eyes were filled with fear. Humph, you want to leave? Seeing these people retreating, Lin Xian chased after them and started a massacre in the 7th region. Kid, how dare you? Young master, come back quickly. These people were still clamoring before, but now, they were scared witless. They desperately hoped that Yuquan would return. In the 6th region, Yuquan was engaged in an intense battle with Qin Xiener. Qin Xiener was using the acacia mystique. She was holding the acacia bell in her hand. When she shook it gently, it could cause one's soul to tremble. This was an extremely strange soul attack. Although Yuquan was strong, he did not dare to be careless. He sensed what was happening in his base camp. He was so angry that he almost vomited blood. Ah, damn it. What did he see? That despicable brat actually dared to kill his pursuers. He had messed up his territory. He harumphed coldly and unleashed a shocking ray of light with the back of his hand. It tore through the sky and charged from District 6 to District 7. That attack saved many of his followers, and Lin Xian dodged the attack as well, dodging it in the air. In the 6th region, Qin Xiener laughed coquettishly. What? You still have the mood to care about other people's business? Seizing this opportunity, she launched an extremely terrifying soul attack. Yuquan was actually hit. Not good. Yuquan felt his soul shake and spat out a mouthful of blood. Damn it, he was indeed careless. Qin Xiener was not weaker than him. Moreover, her soul attack was extremely strange. He actually interfered in another battle, when he was fighting with the other party. It was really unwise. For a time, he gradually fell into a disadvantageous position. Qin Xianer used the divine charm technique again. Yu Quan's qi and blood were surging, and he could not help but want to explode and die. No. He roared, an endless desolate qi condensed on his body. Now he was retreating step by step. He was no match for her at all. Therefore, he decisively retreated. He retreated to the 7th region. Kid, go to hell. As soon as he returned, he charged towards Lin Xian. The terrifying desolate palm covered the sky and covered the earth as it enveloped Lin Xian. Lin Xian's pupils shrank as he felt a fatal danger. Brother Xian, be careful. In the 8th region, Morong Qingcheng exclaimed. Li Hongxiu also cursed inwardly. The other party had actually returned. It was too sudden. Lin Xian shifted his position and used space escape to dodge this attack. He felt his qi and blood churning. He had to admit that the other party was really too powerful. Even if he was injured, he was still incomparable after returning. Moreover, he was now suppressed by 20 great Dao chains. Chapter 3983. His followers heaved a sigh of relief. They wanted to mock him, but they didn't know what to say when they opened their mouths. Lin Wudi was just a young chief disciple. His cultivation base was far behind them. But now he could escape from Yu Quan's hands so easily. Was this something worth mocking? They didn't think so. This showed Lin Wudi's strength even more. Yu Quan snorted coldly. If he missed, he would attack again. This time he would definitely kill him. An ant had provoked him time and time again, and had even killed his younger brother. He couldn't stand it. So he attacked again. The aura of desolation filled the whole world. Little brat, go to hell. Lin Xian felt a great danger. He gritted his teeth and roared, holding up the Taiji diagram to resist. Boom. He was pushed back, his arms numb. The Taiji diagram was shattered, turning into the law of sun and law of death. Lin Xian was shocked. His opponent was too strong. He had to use all his strength to deal with a casual attack. And he couldn't block it. This couldn't go on. Useless ants will always be ants. Although you're ranked in the top 3 among the chief disciples, you can't even withstand a single blow from me. Yu Quan's eyes were filled with endless coldness and fear. The 9-headed spirit also felt his hair stand on end. Indeed, they were too far away from the pilgrim list. If they didn't break through to the minor saint realm, they wouldn't be able to compete with him. Great, this kid is dead. Lung Ruffing snorted coldly. The 9-headed Qilin also heaved a sigh of relief. With such a strong enemy dead, his path should be much smoother. Even Lei Zhen, who was far away in the 9th district, and the people on the internet were excited. Not good. Morong Qingcheng was anxious. She wanted to cross the region to save her brother. Li Hongxiu stopped her. Don't go. We'll wait for you outside. In the 1st region, the dark red divine dragon, the toad, and the others also rushed back. Each of them was extremely nervous. However, at this moment of crisis, a beautiful figure appeared in the 6th region. She tore apart the aura of desolation and said softly, "Why did you run away halfway? This won't do. I'll continue to play with you." Her voice was filled with endless charm, causing the blood of the people in the 7th district to boil. They almost exploded. Even Lin Xian could feel his blood boiling. Not good, he quickly suppressed it. This was an extremely powerful soul attack. He looked at the beautiful figure, and his pupils shrank. Qin Xianer was someone on the pilgrim rankings. This woman's soul attack was extremely terrifying. Ding ding dang dang dang. The joyous union bell rang, and a terrifying sound wave rushed towards secluded spring. Damn it! Yu Quan roared angrily. This woman was simply like a haunting ghost. She was going too far. The other party actually dared to attack his area. With a roar, he charged forward. At the same time, the surrounding aura of desolation fluctuated continuously. Lin Xian's figure flashed. He wanted to leave. Do you want to leave? Those followers prepared to surround and attack, but in the end, they were sent flying by Xian's 2 swords. Lin Xian went on a killing spree and began to crazily plunder the heavenly Dao Golden Lotus. He even made a move on the Dao Flower. I won't miss any of them. Those followers received another blow. Damn it! Secluded Spring roared angrily. This kid dared to attack in front of him. He was too hateful. However, He couldn't be distracted because he was firmly restrained by Qin Xianer. Previously, he was distracted by Lin Xian's matter and suffered a soul injury, so he left. Therefore, he didn't dare to be careless at all. Lin Xian obtained 4 more heavenly Dao golden lotuses. He tore apart the aura of desolation and left the 7th area. He returned to the 8th area. That's great. Murong Qingqing and the others heaved a sigh of relief and left. Lin Xian returned to the 9th area. He took a deep breath and said, "Protect me. I'm going to break through." His eyes burst out with a sonorous light. The simple exchange with secluded spring made him know that the other party was indeed very strong. With his current strength, it would be difficult for him to fight against the other party. Therefore, he was ready to break through again. After his cultivation level broke through, he would definitely be able to fight against these people. "Are you going to break through here?" Li Hongxiu was surprised. The dark red divine dragon and the others were also surprised, but soon they asked, "Kid, what are you going to do?" There weren't many treasures in this place, only ruthless killing. Lin Xian said, "I'm going to completely absorb these heavenly Dao golden lotuses. Protect me." Murong Qingqing and the others nodded and began to guard the surroundings. No one in the entire 9th area dared to provoke them. They could deal with the people from the 1st and 8th areas. As for the geniuses on the pilgrim list, they were not in the mood to pay attention to Lin Xian at all. They were all fighting on their own. Therefore, Lin Xian had such a chance now. He sat down cross-legged, and the 12 heavenly Dao golden lotuses kept spinning around him. Lin Xian reached out and grabbed one of them and directly absorbed it into his body. This scene caused everyone to be terrified. "Oh my god, this Lin Wudi is going to absorb these heavenly Dao golden lotuses. It's really unbelievable." These heavenly Dao golden lotuses were incomparably mysterious. They accompanied them and could constantly temper their nomological laws. But they had never thought of absorbing them. Lin Xian's current actions were truly shocking. Everyone's eyes were glued to him. Even Murong Qingqing and the others were very nervous. But they guessed that Lin Xian must have his own plans. He wouldn't do something that he wasn't confident of. Lin Xian did have a certain plan. He knew that these heavenly Dao golden lotuses contained supreme power, but he wasn't confident at all. But now, as long as there was a chance, he wouldn't miss it. When a heavenly Dao golden lotus entered, supreme power burst out and rushed into his flesh and meridians. Lin Xian felt a pain, as if a knife was cutting him. He endured this aura and quickly absorbed it. Then the 2nd and the 3rd. Lin Xian swallowed all 12 heavenly Dao golden lotuses into his body. Endless light enveloped his body, and the great Dao interweaved. "Brother Xian, I'll give you mine too." Murong Qingqing gave out the 5 heavenly Dao golden lotuses on her body. She gave them to Lin Xian. "I'll give them too." The dark red divine dragon and the others also gave them to him. The toad was a demonic beast here, so he didn't have any. When Li Hongxiu saw this scene, she sighed as well. She gave her share to Lin Xian as well. The heavenly Dao golden lotus on Lin Xian's body shone brightly again. He looked like he was about to ascend. That kid wanted to break through. He definitely couldn't let him succeed. Not far away, someone roared. These were all Yu Quan's followers. There were people from the Great Desolate Mansion. And there were also other experts. These people hated Lin Xian to the core. So when they saw this, they all rushed over. Once again, they crossed 2 areas and started fighting. Kill. Chapter 3984. Damn it! The dark red dragon roared at the sky, spewing out endless flames. Murong Qingqing even shot out a terrifying phoenix phantom. Lung Ruffing also rushed over, and the bone army spread out again. At the same time, he shouted angrily, "Lesion 9 Qilins, aren't you going to make a move?" This was the last chance. He naturally knew the grudge between the 2 sides. So at this moment, he wanted to unite everyone to fight together. Not good. Murong Qingqing and the others' expressions were extremely ugly. Now that Lin Xian was in seclusion, these people actually had the tendency to resist. If they attacked together, it would be very dangerous. They were not afraid of these people, but they were afraid that Lin Xian would be affected. If that happened, he would definitely go berserk and be seriously injured. "Hurry up and make a move," Murong Qingqing shouted. They worked together and swept through all directions. But this time, there were more than 10 powerful saints, as well as terrifying sacred artifacts and laws. The North Demon activated the sky-reaching tree to provide everyone with a strong vitality. They firmly protected Lin Xian. The dark red dragon spat out a lot of tremors to protect Lin Xian. At the same time, he said that this kid was too impatient. If he had known earlier, he would have activated the Great Sage Pagoda. But there was no other way now. Without Lin Xian, no one could activate the Great Sage Pagoda, and they could not awaken Lin Xian now. So they could only repel the enemy. Lei Zhen returned to the 9th district, his eyes flickering. To be honest, this was his best chance. However, he was indeed afraid of Lin Xian previously, so he was not completely confident now. He snorted coldly. He did not make a move. Instead, he had other plans. In his current state, it would be best if he could kill Lin Xian. If he could not kill him, he would not make a move to save himself from trouble. However, on the other side, the 9 Qilins had indeed made a move. He had the same worries as Lei Zhen, but he had an advantage over Lei Zhen. That was, he had multiple lives, and he could exhaust them. Even if he had lost 2 lives previously, he still had 7 left. This was his powerful capital, and now he felt that the risk was very worth it. At most, he would lose his life. However, if he succeeded, he would be able to get rid of a peerless enemy forever. Therefore, he charged over. Some of the greater demons from the Myriad Demon City also charged over from the surrounding areas. District 9. The 5 Sword Saints also made their move. They were in this area and were not suppressed by the Great Tao. Therefore, his attacks were incomparably violent. Damn it, how dare you rebel? The dark red dragon roared. It hadn't expected that someone would really make a move in the 9th district. Li Hongxiu looked at Lei Zhen coldly. Lei Zhen snorted coldly. In order to avoid arousing suspicion, he actually left District 9 and went to District 1. That was a relief to them. Lei Zhen didn't make a move, but it wasn't the worst. However, the current situation had also exceeded their expectations. The 5 Sword Saints were incomparably powerful as they charged over. Li Hongxiu said, "Leave these 5 people to me." She rushed out. As the daughter of the Saint King, she was extremely powerful, especially during this period of time. She had a lot of good fortune. Therefore, he had no problem fighting against a great sword saint. On the other side, the 9 Qilins had also charged over. That was an extremely terrifying expert. Everyone's scalps went numb. Murong Qingqing said, "Leave it to me." She rushed over with the Phoenix bloodline. Her mystical powers were powerful, and she was not weaker than the other party in terms of bloodline. Therefore, she was the most suitable person to fight against the 9 Qilins. Toad, I'll leave that person from the Acheron Hall to you. Leave the rest to me. The dark red dragon's expression was piercingly cold. Toad said, "Don't worry, leave it to me." He rushed out and fought with Lung Rufin and the others. The rest were left to the dark red dragon. The dark red dragon roared and turned into a huge dragon, sweeping in all directions. As for the North Demon, he didn't make a move because he still had the most important task, which was to protect Lin Xian. The North Demon's body bloomed with light, and the heavenly tree enveloped Lin Xian, forming a powerful vitality. Moreover, there were many array formations surrounding them. For a moment, an earth-shattering battle broke out in the 9th district. Murong Qingqing was very strong. She had the Kunlun 9 slashes and the Phoenix bloodline. She also had various mystical powers. This caused the 9 Qilins to be extremely shocked. He didn't expect that this woman was actually not weaker than him. Especially the power of her bloodline, it shocked him. On the other side, the 5 Sword Saints also roared. They were actually suppressed by a woman, and they were even injured. However, on the other side, Toad was indeed screaming miserably. "Damn, you dare to sneak attack me?" He had no choice. He was facing an endless army of bones and the terrifying Acheron. He was extremely miserable. If it weren't for his mutated species and powerful physique, he would have been killed long ago. On the other side, the dark red dragon was roaring. To be honest, he was very strong, but the people he was facing were also a little terrifying. Those were all followers, and their strength was even stronger than that of the chief disciple. Although there were 20 chains of the great Tao wrapped around his body, He couldn't withstand the number of people. There were a total of 8 people, and they came together. In addition, there were also some people who were preparing to fish in troubled waters and assassinate Lin Xian. Therefore, the pressure he faced was very great. Fortunately, he was from the Divine Dragon clan. His physique and bloodline were powerful, and the dragon's mystical powers were terrifying. In addition, he had many array formations. Only then could he resist. Otherwise, if it were any other chief disciple, they would have been killed long ago. Even so, he was still in a very bad situation. That's great. All of them have been pinned down. Hurry up, whoever has a grudge against Lin Wudi, hurry up and kill him. The Great Desolate Mansion will reward you handsomely. You don't have to kill him. As long as you can make him go berserk, you can make any request. Many people were tempted. Especially those in the 8th and 1st regions. Their eyes were burning. Indeed, at this moment, there was only one person beside Lin Xian. It was very easy for them to interfere with him. Even Lei Zhen, who was in the 1st region, had a burning gaze. He couldn't help but want to attack a few times, but he forcibly suppressed it. The surrounding people were also shocked. They were indeed tempted, but they didn't dare to act rashly. Lin Wudi's strength was deeply ingrained in their hearts. However, at this moment, the array formations fluctuated, and 3 of them broke in an instant. The sky-reaching tree also shook. The North Demon roared angrily. Who was it? He threw out the terrifying 10,000 demon fist. Countless demonic beast phantoms rampaged between heaven and earth, shattering the void. However, no one came out. However, he could feel a terrifying murderous intent circling around him. Oh no, there's an assassin, and it's an extremely terrifying saint killer. The North Demon's expression became extremely ugly, and the others' bodies trembled. The killing intent made their scalps go numb. Where did this top-notch assassin come from? How could he be so powerful? Li Hongxia's expression changed. Could it be the mortal world? Could it be Wuxia? Chapter 3985. They were worried, but they soon shook their heads. No, it wasn't Wuxia. Wuxia was on the pilgrimage list. He shouldn't have bothered to make a move. Once he made a move, no one would be able to stop him. Now only 3 arrays had been destroyed. This meant that the other party was a 5th heaven killer saint. He was very strong, but there was nothing they could do. As expected, the Northern Demon controlled the sky-reaching divine tree, and had the 10,000 demon body. He attacked the saint killer who was hiding in the dark. The 2 sides were in a stalemate. However, at this moment, he was sent flying while vomiting blood. A crack appeared on his back. He was almost cut in half. Damn it! The Northern Demon roared. Using the sky-reaching divine tree, his body quickly healed. At the same time, his expression was extremely ugly. The second killer saint had appeared. He was not weaker than the first. At that instant, he sensed 3 murderous intents approaching him. The Northern Demon's eyes widened. He took the attack head-on. His body was shattered, but with his powerful vitality, he was able to recover. With the recovery ability of the heavenly tree, he recovered quickly. He stood in the void with a cold expression. He was surrounded by 3 killer saints. It could be said that he was in extreme danger. Damn it! The dark red dragon roared, and wanted to rush back. However, he was pinned down. Morong Qingqing and the others were in the same situation. No one could help the Northern Demon now. The Northern Demon could fight against 1 killer saint, but against 2 killer saints, he was probably more passive. Now that 3 of them were attacking together, he was in extreme danger. The 2 slaughter saints sprang into action at incredible speed. 1 in front and 1 behind, they charged at the Northern Demon. The 3rd killer saint charged at Lin Xian. You're courting death. The Northern Demon roared. The sky-reaching divine tree erupted with power, and blocked the 3 killer saints. You're courting death. Someone in the sky sneered. The 3 killer saints attacked crazily. The Northern Demon was seriously injured in an instant. Blood flowed out. Fortunately, he had the sky-reaching divine tree. Otherwise he would have been killed. Even so, the situation was very dangerous. Another attack. The Northern Demon was sent flying and vomited blood. 2 of the killer saints continued to chase. The 3rd broke through the array and charged at Lin Xian. After breaking through 5 array formations in a row, he finally arrived in front of Lin Xian. This figure walked out of the void. It was a blurry shadow. The killing sword in his hand was blood red. Die. He swung his sword at Lin Xian's head. No. The northern demon roared. Brat. The dark red dragon shrieked. Older brother Xian and Morong Qingcheng's eyes erupted with a piercing cold light. The Kunlun 9 slashes merged with the Phoenix Phantom and sent the 9-headed Qilin flying. She turned around and soared into the sky, but it was already too late. The killing sword had already descended mercilessly with a terrifying aura. This caused the formation around Lin Xian to continuously shatter. Everyone's minds were completely tied down. Could it be that Lin Wudi was going to fall at this time? It was really too surprising. The people that had participated in the battle revealed ferocious expressions. That's great. With this sword strike, even if the other party doesn't die, his cultivation will go berserk. Next, the other party would be finished. He would no longer be able to contend against them. At this moment of crisis, Lin Xian suddenly opened his eyes. He stretched out his palm and grabbed in front of him. With a whoosh, he grabbed the killing sword and then gripped it hard. Crack. The killing sword shattered. That person retreated in fear. Lin Xian pointed out again. On the tip of his finger, an extremely terrifying sword law revolved around it, firmly locking onto that person. That person still wanted to escape into the void, but in the end, the sword pierced through the space between his eyebrows. Plop. That killing god fell into a pool of blood. He didn't expect that at the last moment, the other party would still be able to make a move. The surrounding people were also stunned. Heavens, Lin Wudi actually woke up. Did he forcefully interrupt his cultivation? These people were all terrified. Those who attacked were even more frightened, their eyelids twitching wildly. That's great. Morong Qingcheng and the others heaved a sigh of relief. Puff. At this moment, Lin Xian spat out a mouthful of blood, his face becoming incomparably pale. What's going on? Morong Qingcheng was stunned. Brother Xian. She cried out in alarm. The dark red divine dragon also frowned. Not good. This kid must have suffered a backlash from his cultivation technique. They began to worry again. Lin Xian forcefully disrupted his cultivation. He must have suffered internal injuries. When the surrounding people saw this scene, they all laughed out loud. That's great, he's injured. Hurry up and kill him while he's sick. These people attacked crazily again. Lin Xian wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, his eyes erupting with a piercing cold light. You all have to die. The killing intent on his body was incomparable. In an instant, he charged towards the 2 killing saints who were besieging the northern demon. When the 2 killing saints saw Lin Xian charging towards them, they also took the initiative to meet him. The terrifying killing intent charged for 9 days. Lin Xian attacked, the sun sword and the death demonic blade. 2 rays of light spun between heaven and earth, enveloping the 2 killers. 2 screams rang out. The bodies of the 2 killing saints split open. Their souls wanted to escape, emitting waves of fear. Too powerful. The other party was still so strong even though he was injured. In an instant, the 2 of them were completely killed. The heavenly Tao golden lotus on their bodies was snatched away by Lin Xian and directly swallowed into his body. Ah! Lin Xian roared towards the sky, his black hair dancing in the wind. He said to the northern demon, "You recover first, leave the rest to me." With a stomp of his foot, he charged towards the dark red divine dragon. Kid, you came at the right time. The dark red divine dragon roared and sent those people flying. At the same time he said, "Are you all right? Why don't we retreat first?" "No, I won't leave until I kill all of them today." Lin Xian was really angry. He had already been very merciful to these people before. He didn't kill them all. But he didn't expect that these people would be so reckless. At the most critical moment of his cultivation, they came to kill him. Since that was the case, then bear his anger. Boom. The great sun sword descended from the sky with terrifying flames, incinerating everything. The laws contained in it were really too many. With one sword, those followers were instantly sent flying. Some were cut in half at the waist, and some had their heads flying. Some people's bodies even shattered and turned into a bloody mist. Damn it! Why was he still so strong? These people were terrified. They found that although Lin Xian kept vomiting blood, the aura on his body was becoming more and more violent. He was still alive. He was still cultivating. He still wanted to break through. Hurry up and stop him. You can't let him continue. Those followers roared crazily. They wanted the others to attack. The 9 Qilins, the 5 sword saints, Lung Rufeng, and the others saw this scene. They also kept attacking. However, they were firmly restrained by Murong Qingqing and the others. They didn't even have a chance to escape. Damn it, their eyes were red. Lin Xian attacked with all his might, constantly chasing after these followers. Chapter 3986. Corpses flew all over the sky, and blood flowed wildly. Terrifying sword qi rampaged between heaven and earth. Lin Xian roared and absorbed all of this power. At the same time, there was a dragon shadow behind him that was also crazily devouring this power. Lin Xian's aura became stronger. He even felt like he was about to break through. However, Lin Xian didn't break through at all. Instead, he suppressed it. Kill. With a roar, he charged towards the toad again. Great kid, come and help me. I'm going to torture you to death. As the toad fought against the bone army, it kept spitting saliva. To be honest, it was about to go crazy from anger. The people who had died around him could actually be mobilized by Lung Rufin. The more it fought, the more bone army there was. It almost vomited blood. When Lung Rufin saw the other party coming, he also shouted angrily. The Yellow Springs diagram on his body became even more terrifying, enveloping the entire area. In the 9th district, the corpses of the people who had died were once again condensed into puppets by him. It kept attacking. A sword split the sky. Lin Xian held the sun sword and the death demonic saber in his hands, slashing in all directions. He was so strong that no one could compare to him. At the same time, he struck out the Tai Chi diagram to fight against the Yellow Springs diagram. The two peerless divine abilities clashed, causing the sky to collapse and the earth to split. At this moment, everyone was sent flying. The bone army beside Lung Rufin was constantly shattered and destroyed by the Tai Chi diagram. The dragon soul in Lin Xian's body roared and struck out with sword qi, which was even more terrifying. The sword qi that filled the sky shattered the Yellow Springs diagram. In the end, the yin-yang diagram turned into a yin-yang sword and split open the Yellow Springs diagram. Puff. Lung Rufin vomited blood. Ah, damn it. He was seriously injured in an instant. Was the other party so strong? Lin Xian also spat out a mouthful of blood, but his eyes were even brighter. I've spared you twice, but you still don't know what's good for you. Do you think I don't dare to kill you? The Tai Chi diagram rotated and turned into a peerless blade that pierced towards the other party's head. No. Lung Rufin screamed crazily. He wanted to retreat, but his head was chopped off. His head flickered in the sky, unusually ferocious. Damn it. I'm going to kill you. Roaring, he opened his mouth and spat out a yellow flame. That flame was terrifying and carried with it a sinister and cold aura. Not good. The toad instantly retreated frantically. Kid, this is the Yellow Springs flame. Be careful, it's unusually scary. The flames were indeed terrifying. Ordinary flames carried a violent and destructive aura. However, this flame was incomparably cold, like ice. Legend has it that this flame came from the Yellow Springs, which was extremely strange. Die for me. Lung Rufin controlled the netherworld flame and charged over again. He wanted to completely burn and refine Lin Xian. Playing with fire in front of me? Displaying one's slight skill before an expert. Lin Xian sneered. The 9 suns' divine fire danced and turned into golden crows. It surged between heaven and earth. It was as if countless suns had appeared in the 9th region. The golden crow suns that filled the sky continued to attack, erupting with an unparalleled aura. It blasted forward. When the two collided, the netherworld flame was unable to withstand the impact and exploded. Boom. Lung Rufin's head also exploded with a loud bang. His soul, mixed with blood, quickly fled. Want to leave? Lin Xian sneered. The Tai Chi diagram above his head turned into a Tai Chi sword. The sword slashed down. In the 9th region, a dragon's roar sounded. Terrifying sword chi swept across the 9 heavens. When all the sword chi disappeared, Lung Rufin's soul couldn't be any more dead. Lung Rufin was killed. Everyone was shocked and then terrified. This was even more powerful than the identity of a follower. He was the chief disciple of the Yellow Springs Hall. Such a person's death would set off a huge storm. However, this storm was nothing to Lin Xian. He turned his head and stared at another place. That was the 5 Sword Saints. These 5 Sword Saints actually dared to betray him. Lin Xian couldn't tolerate it. The 5 Sword Saints were scared out of their wits. The sword technique that Lin Xian used when he killed Lung Rufin. It already made their hair stand on end. Now that the other party was attacking them, how could they resist? Let's go. The 5 of them worked together to force Li Hongxiu back, and then prepared to escape. Where were they going? Li Hongxiu stopped the terrifying Lu Yunxiu, and blocked the path of the 5 people. Damn it! The 5 of them roared. When they turned around and wanted to attack, Lin Xian had already arrived. The 5 of you, have you thought about how to die? Yi's voice was incomparably cold. Kid, don't go too far. Let us leave, and we will stop here. Everyone will be safe. One of the 5 Sword Saints said coldly. Even now, you still dare to clamor in front of me. It seems that you really don't know what's good for you. Buzz. Lin Xian moved the great sun sword in his hand. The flames on it erupted, turning into a terrifying sword light that pierced forward. With a puff, the head of one of the Sword Saints was blown apart. His body also turned into a bloody mist. Another terrifying sword chi exploded. The 2 next to him were also affected and were seriously injured. 1 sword, 1 dead and 2 injured. This power was terrifying to the extreme. Damn it! The remaining 4 Sword Saints were scared out of their wits. How could they fight with such combat strength? Moreover, they found that after killing Lung Rufin, Lin Xian spat out a lot of blood again. However, the other party's aura was even more violent. However, the other party was still suppressing it and didn't want to break through. What was the other party planning? It was hard for them to imagine that once the other party really broke through, what realm would he have to reach? This guy couldn't be thinking of achieving it in one go, right? These people were all terrified. Buzz. Suddenly, the world shook, and a terrifying aura tore through the 9th district. The void split open, and the light slashed down. Not good. Li Hongxiu's expression changed. Lu Yunxiu rushed out, wanting to block. But it was all shattered in an instant. Lin Xian's pupils constricted. He took Li Hongxiu with him and used space escape. He dodged this attack. At the same time, he looked into the distance. Who attacked? Was it that one Jiani? That's great. The remaining 4 Sword Saints were ecstatic. Kid, do you still dare to attack now? Our powerhouse on the pilgrim list is right here. Before they could finish their words, their heads all flew out. Lin Xian attacked forcefully. So what if it was the pilgrim list? Even if the Saint King was here today, I would still kill him. Lin Xian was extremely powerful. The long sword in his hand was wide open and closed. The Taiji diagram rotated and released a terrifying yin-yang sword chi, completely killing the 4 of them. No. The 4 of them only let out an unwilling roar. And their souls were destroyed. The heavenly path golden lotuses on these people, including their storage rings, were all broken by Lin Xian. The energy was absorbed by him. The aura on his body erupted again and rose. And he spat out another mouthful of blood. This scene made the corners of everyone's mouths twitch. Damn it! They now felt that Lin Xian spat out blood on purpose. Because the more blood he spat out, the more terrifying the other party's aura became. Chapter 3987. Until now. Those who had tried to assassinate Lin Xian before were all dead. Of course, except for one person. That was the 9-headed Qilin. The 9-headed Qilin was scared out of his wits at this moment. Originally, he thought that this was the best opportunity to kill the other party, but he didn't expect that he would be able to turn the other party around. He couldn't fight any longer. He took on Morong Qingcheng's attack head-on, and then quickly fled. How could Lin Xian let the other party escape? His entire body turned into a flying sword and instantly caught up with the other party. The 2 of them had an earth-shattering battle. How could the 9-headed Qilin be a match for Lin Xian? So in the end he was killed again, and his corpse quickly fled. At this point, he had lost another life. There were only 6 left. However, to everyone's horror. Lin Xian didn't stop at all. He still held his sword and charged over. Oh no, could it be that Lin Wuti wanted to completely kill the nine-headed Qilin today? The nine-headed Qilin had just been revived. When he saw this scene, he was scared out of his wits. He almost fainted from anger. His original plan was to die once in the worst-case scenario. But now it seemed that the other party didn't just want him to die once. Run quickly, he fled frantically to the 8th district and didn't stop, all the way to the 7th district. He wanted to seek protection. The 7th district had Yuquan, so the other party definitely wouldn't dare to come. Lin Xian wanted to chase after the nine-headed Qilin, but he didn't expect that someone would appear in the 9th district again. As soon as this person appeared, countless people screamed. This was an exceptionally handsome man. He had short hair, a cold expression, and his gaze was like a divine sword. He was wearing a Taoist robe with countless sword patterns drawn on it. It was very mysterious. There was a long sword hanging on his waist. It was a blue long sword, as bright and dazzling as the starry sky. Jianchen, the chief disciple of the 10,000 Swords Pavilion. Many people cried out in surprise. This was an extremely powerful genius. Among the chief disciples, he could definitely be ranked in the top 3. Some people even placed him at the top of the list. That was because they felt that no chief disciple would be able to defeat him. Did they come to the 9th district to target Lin Wuti? That's for sure. What else? Lin Wuti had killed many sword saints of the 10,000 Swords Pavilion. Everyone gulped. However, there were also people who screamed. That's not right. Wasn't Jianchen in the 4th region? He came to the 9th zone. It spanned across 4 major regions. He had over 40 chains of great Tao on him. If they were to fight, they would be at a disadvantage. These people were exaggerating too much. 10 chains were enough to make them unable to breathe. Not to mention 40 to 50 chains. Most likely, his strength would be greatly reduced. The dark red divine dragon, the toad, and the others also sneered. Would the other party dare to behave atrociously? However, Li Hongxiu frowned. Morong Qingqing also said that he did not have 4 great Tao chains on him. What was going on? The others were also stunned. Fighting across realms would definitely be suppressed by the great Tao. A bunch of idiots. Who told you that you would definitely be suppressed? Did you not go to the Bronze Gate? Do you think I'm the same as you? I have a magic treasure on me. Speaking of this, the corners of his mouth curled up into a smile. That was indeed the case. He did have a magic treasure on him. He had spent 8 heavenly Tao golden lotuses. He had exchanged it in the Bronze Gate. It was a battle robe that could offset the suppression brought by the great Tao chains. That was why he dared to cross the 4 major regions at this moment. Today he was going to completely get rid of this Lin Wuti. He looked down. Brat, you dare to kill so many of my sword saints. Today, I will definitely not let you leave alive. Speaking of this, he pulled out the Starry Sky sword at his waist. The Starry Sky was like fire. Resplendent sword light swept across the world, extremely dazzling. In the surroundings, the people in the 9th zone retreated frantically. They knew that a world-shaking battle was about to break out. The people from the other regions also turned their heads to look at them. Whether it was Jianchen or Lin Xian, they were both chief disciples. Moreover, they were among the top 3 chief disciples. Now that the 2 of them were fighting, they would probably be able to tell who was stronger. Who was the number 1 chief disciple? This was going to be a fierce battle. Everyone was looking forward to it. Lin Xian stopped. Originally, he was going to chase after the 9 Qilins. However, the other party had come. He turned his head to look at the figure in the sky. Jianchen, someone from the 10,000 Swords Pavilion. Are you here to challenge me? If that's the case, then be prepared to be killed. Lin Xian's eyes erupted with sonorous killing intent. Useless brat, although you are strong, you are still no match for me. Jianchen stepped in the air with incomparable calmness. The Starry Sky turned into sword qi and accompanied him. As long as he gave the order, these sword qi would mercilessly fall. Every strike of the sword could easily penetrate a 5th heaven sage. Lin Xian stomped his foot and faced the attack. The light in his eyes became more and more monstrous. The aura on his body became more and more terrifying. At this moment, the heavenly Tao lotus on his body shattered. It turned into countless great Tao laws and merged into his body. Lin Xian looked up to the sky and roared. At the same time, there was a crazy force circulating in his body. The sky above the 9th area instantly darkened. Countless dark clouds condensed, and a bolt of thunder struck down from the sky. With a crack, the starry sky sword chi in the sky was sent flying. A huge black hole appeared. Thunder? Didn't this Lin Wudi want to compete in swordsmanship? Could it be that he was also a thunder saint? Many people's brains were a little numb. Lei Zhen's pupils shrank. He was still in the first area, and what happened before shocked him. What happened now made him even more terrified. The other party was going to break through. Everyone was dumbfounded. Was he finally going to break through? Lin Wudi, did he choose to break through at this time? What did he want to do? Sure enough, after the first bolt of thunder, the second and third, thunder poured down from the sky. The sword chi in the sky was completely shattered. Those thunder enveloped Lin Xian and Jianchen at the same time. Damn it, you dare to trick me! Jianchen roared. Did the other party want to use the thunder tribulation to deal with him? I'm not afraid of thunder. So what if you break through? You're still no match for me. Jianchen was also an expert in the late 5th level. His strength was unparalleled. However, he regretted it as soon as he made a move. The thunder seemed to be angered and became more and more terrifying. Even all the dark clouds on the entire heavenly fate planet gathered above his head. The terrifying thunder and lightning were incomparably mighty, completely engulfing the two of them. Ah! A miserable sound was heard, making one's scalp tingle. The people in the 9th area had long fled. They either fled to the 1st area or the 8th area. Even if they were carrying the chains of the Great Tao, they didn't dare to stay in the same place. Chapter 3988. The toad's eyelids twitched wildly. Damn, this kid was too terrifying. This lightning tribulation could kill people. Morong Qingqing was also a little worried. She also heard Lin Xian's screams. However, the dark red divine dragon was a little suspicious. This kid's screams were very strange. Why did it feel like he was laughing? Indeed, Lin Xian was also screaming, but it was because he was comfortable. Although the thunder had shattered his body into a bloody mess. However, she felt that he was undergoing a metamorphosis. This time he had swallowed a large number of heavenly Tao golden lotuses, and he had fought all the way. Finally, he had accumulated enough. At this moment, all of his strength had erupted. Not far away from him was Jianchen. Cracks had also appeared on the other party's body. Many places were charred black, and his flesh was badly mutilated. Damn it! Jianchen's eyes were incomparably red as he stared at Lin Xian. He held the starry sky sword and charged over. However, as soon as he got close to Lin Xian, he spat out blood and flew backward. The lightning around Lin Xian became even more violent. Even he couldn't resist it. Go! He knew that he would be an idiot if he stayed here. He quickly retreated. Do you want to leave? Didn't you want to fight me to the death? Come on, I'll give you a handicap of 1 hand. I'll even give you a handicap of 100 moves. Lin Xian rode the lightning tribulation and quickly flew forward. Damn it, get lost. Stay away from me. Jianchen was scared out of his wits. As soon as he got close to him, the lightning tribulation increased. Just like that, he fled all the way. How could Lin Xian let him go? It trapped him tightly. No matter how strong Jianchen was, under such a terrifying heavenly tribulation, his skin and flesh were also split open. His body had exploded several times. He was about to be killed. Senior brother, save me. Jianchen sent out a cry for help. Between heaven and earth, a sword chi split open the sea of lightning. This was one Jianyi. It was a strike from an endless area. Using this crack, Jianchen escaped. The surrounding people were terrified. Although Jianchen escaped, everyone knew that the other party had lost. And he was seriously injured. If it wasn't for one Jianyi making a move, the other party would have died without a doubt. Humph. Lin Xian snorted coldly and ignored Jianchen. Instead, he turned to look at the 7th region. He soared into the air and charged over. Not good, the great demon king is here, run. The people in the 8th region screamed in fright and fled. However, as soon as they escaped, they realized that Lin Xian didn't stay in the 8th area at all. He quickly charged towards the 7th region. This brat wanted to kill 9 Qilins. Everyone understood what was going on. The 9-headed Qilin naturally understood as well. He was horrified and wanted to flee. However, before he could even move, Lin Xian had already charged over. Thunder and lightning enveloped him. No. He asked Yuquan for help. However, at this moment, Right Fist did not have the time to pay attention to him. He was still engaged in a life-and-death battle with Qin Xiener. Thus, the 9 Qilins were in a very miserable state. His strength was not even as strong as Jian Chen's, so how could he possibly block it? In an instant he was severely injured. Damn it, he wanted to tear apart the thunder and escape from here. However, he was kicked down by Lin Xian. The golden foot was like a huge mountain, causing his arm to crack. Void Beast. The 9-headed Qilin roared and dimmed. Lin Xian frowned. Did he want to use his spatial magic to escape? It was useless. He used the heavenly secret divine eyes to the extreme. In the sea of lightning, a pair of golden eyes looked through the 9 heavens and 10 earth. As Lin Xian's strength increased, the future of the heavenly secret divine eyes became even more terrifying. He directly locked onto the 9-headed Qilin. There was no way to escape. He controlled the arena and pierced through countless worlds. Moreover, the great dragon sword soul struck out and locked onto all directions. Before the Void Beast could escape, it was beaten out of its hiding place. The Void Beast vomited blood, and the 9-headed Qilin was sent flying. The two separated. Lin Xian carried the supreme thunder and directly destroyed the 9-headed Qilin. The 9-headed Qilin's corpse floated up and down and quickly came back to life. However, it was killed again. Twice. The 9-headed Qilin died twice in the Sea of Lightning. In addition to the previous times, he had died 3 times. He originally only had 7 lives left. Now he only had 4 lives left. The Void Beast's eyes also turned red. He ignored everything, even if he was injured. He also wanted to use the power of the Void. In the end, he was seriously injured and left with the 9-headed Qilin. Everyone's hair stood on end. The terrifying 9-headed Qilin was actually beaten to death. He even lost 3 lives. This was an extremely heavy loss. The people in the 7th area also fled. At present, other than Lin Xian, only Qin Xiener and Yuquan were left. In the end, the 2 of them even fought to other areas. Only Lin Xian was left. Lin Xian bathed in the divine thunder and resisted with all his strength. After 5 days and 5 nights, the thunder that filled the sky disappeared. Lin Xian walked out. His body was overflowing with light. The injuries that he had suffered previously all disappeared at the last moment. The aura on his body was much stronger than before. At this moment, his cultivation had reached the middle stage of the 5th heaven. This kind of cultivation was actually nothing among the saints around him, because many of them were in the late stage of the 5th heaven. However, it was not easy for Lin Xian. One had to know that he had a divine body and a dragon sword soul. To break through was 10 times or 100 times more difficult than other saints. And once he broke through, his power would far surpass those saints. As expected, the people around him were terrified. Lin Wudi was already so terrifying before he broke through. Now that he had broken through to the middle stage of the 5th heaven, who could be his match? Among the chief disciples, there was definitely no one who could be his match. Even if he met Jianqin, he probably did not need the thunder tribulation. The other party could defeat Jianqin. Some of the experts of the sacred city were terrified. Who could stop the rise of the other party? Damn it! In the distance, Jianqin's injuries had already recovered. However, the wound in his heart would never be healed. The other party dared to use the thunder tribulation to deal with him, and successfully broke through. All of this drove her crazy. In the first area, Lei Zhen's hair stood on end. This person was too terrifying. Fortunately, he did not make a move before. However, he felt a sense of powerlessness. The other party had broken through to this extent. Was he still a match for the other party? That was great. The Toad, and Hong, and the others exclaimed. Morong Qingqing and the others also smiled. The risk from before was worth it. The current Lin Xian should be the strongest person below the pilgrim list. Boom. Boom. At this moment, earth-shattering roars came from the 6th area. Two figures flew out at the same time. Between heaven and earth, there was holy blood floating. Was there a result? Everyone's gaze was attracted. Even the geniuses on the pilgrim list turned their heads to look. They saw that Yuquan was covered in blood and his face was pale. It was obvious that he had been severely injured before. Especially his soul, he had probably received a powerful attack from the Joyous Union Bell. On the other side, Qin Xianer was also covered in blood. She was originally wearing a long blue dress embroidered with countless great daos. However, at this moment, there was bright red blood standing on it. It was abnormally shocking. However, looking at her state, she seemed to be better than Yuquan. In other words, Yuquan was still defeated by the other party. Damn woman, just you wait. Yuquan roared. Chapter 3989. He had indeed lost to her. But he swore. As long as he found a powerful soul defense weapon, he would not be afraid of her. Next time he would definitely defeat this woman. Then he would take her as his concubine. After returning to the 7th area, Yuquan prepared to recuperate. The next step was to seize the Destiny Stone. However, he found that the 7th area was in ruins, as if it had been struck by lightning. There was no one there. There was only one figure standing there. Seeing this figure, Yuquan was furious. The wounds on his body that had originally healed opened again because of his excitement. Kid, you still dare to come? Go to hell. He was already in a bad mood. At this moment, when he saw Lin Xian, he was naturally furious. He immediately attacked with a terrifying desolate blade, splitting the sky and splitting the earth. Kid, come back quickly. The dark divine dragon roared. Murong Qingqing also said, Brother Xian, don't fight him head on. They were all very worried. The surrounding people were also stunned. Was this Lin Wudi too excited? Facing Yuquan, he didn't want to run away. What did he want to do? One had to know that last time, Yuquan's casual attack was something that Lin Xian couldn't block at all. Not to mention that he was attacking in a rage now. He estimated that within 3 moves he would be able to kill Lin Wudi. Lin Wudi had just broken through and became the #1 chief disciple. Was he going to be killed? Some people felt that the sky was about to collapse. If that was the case, then it would be a big joke. It would be best to kill him. Jian Chen gritted his teeth as he watched the battle from afar. Lin Xian's figure flashed and dodged the 3 blades. Then he floated in the air and didn't escape. Instead, he stared at the figure in front of him with interest. At this moment, Yuquan's face was pale, but his eyes were blood red. Many cracks appeared on his armor. Some of them could be seen through the cracks, and some of them were even internal organs. These were all torn apart by the sound wave attack of the Joyous Bell. Moreover, Lin Xian could feel that not only was his body injured, but his soul was also weak. This was a good opportunity for him to make a move. It just so happens that I'll use you to test my strength after breaking through. Lin Xian was excited and eager to try. You dare to provoke me? Yuquan smiled. The cracks on his body were rapidly being healed by the aura of the Great Desolation. Brat, do you think you can provoke me just because I'm injured? You're too naive. A giant dragon was a giant dragon. Even if it was injured, it was not something that an ant could provoke. Yuquan's eyes were filled with disdain. Previously, he was able to injure the other party with a single slap. Now even if the other party's cultivation had broken through, so what? He was only at the mid-stage of the 5th heavenly layer. He could wipe out a group of such people with a wave of his hand. Lin Xian made the first move. He unleashed a terrifying sword light that slashed forward in an overwhelming manner. The people around him were terrified. They had never imagined that Lin Xian would dare to take the initiative to attack. Yuquan was infuriated. If you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Truth be told, other than those who were not on the pilgrim list, he did not bother to make a move. Even if the other party was the #1 chief disciple, he didn't think highly of him. But now this little ant had truly angered him. Therefore, he decided that even if he would lose some face, he would still kill the other party. Boom. He broke through the void and charged over as fast as lightning. With one punch, the terrifying Baron Fist sent all of the flaming sword chi flying. At the same time, he quickly charged over. Go to hell. His fist turned into a palm and grabbed at Lin Xian. Lin Xian waved his hand as well, resisting the attack. The golden palm was like fire in the sky. The two collided, causing the sky to collapse and the earth to crack. After that, Lin Xian retreated and stepped through the void. His qi and blood were surging, but his eyes were extremely excited. The people around him were all stunned. Lin Wudi actually blocked it. It was too unbelievable. Could he compete with those on the pilgrim list after breaking through once? Interesting. I hope you won't disappoint me. Lin Xian's eyes shone brightly. He shook his numb arm, and the power in his body began to circulate again. On the opposite side, Yu Quan's expression became somewhat ugly. He blocked it. This was not what he had expected. In his imagination, this attack would be able to smash the other party into pieces. However, he did not expect that he would only be able to push the other party back. The other party was not even injured. This made his face burn with embarrassment. That was a feeling of humiliation. Go to hell. A blade of desolation appeared in his hand, and he slashed down crazily. Lin Xian roared and quickly dodged. Then the great sun sword turned into countless sun sword qi. The sword and saber collided, and a sonorous sound swept across the 9 heavens. Countless cracks accompanied it. The scene of the two fighting was terrifying. The surrounding saints were all stunned. Lin Wudi could really compete with the prodigies on the pilgrim list. However, the other people on the pilgrim list frowned. Those followers were also dumbfounded. It couldn't be right? They looked as if they had seen a ghost. Had that kid already defied the heavens to such an extent? Mo Xiu snorted coldly, making a fuss over nothing. It was just that Yu Quan was seriously injured. Otherwise, would that kid have the right to be so arrogant? Indeed, many people saw it. Even though Yu Quan was using the power of desolation to heal his wounds, there were still some wounds that could not be healed in a short period of time. Moreover, as the battle continued, those wounds split open again and blood flowed out. However, the seriously injured Yu Quan was not someone that anyone could resist. Even Jian Chen and the others did not have the confidence to block him at all. Lin Xian was able to fight evenly. This undoubtedly showed that Lin Xian's strength had long surpassed that of the chief disciple. Ah! Yu Quan roared. The aura of desolation on his body continued to spread. After hundreds of moves, he still could not kill an ant? That made him lose all his face. Go to hell. He struck out a desolate mountain, and a terrifying aura surged. It enveloped a part of the sky. Wherever it passed, it turned into ashes. Nothing could resist it. Lin Xian's pupils constricted. He felt a great sense of crisis. It should be the top secret technique of the Great Desolate Mansion. He did not dare to be careless. He instantly used Tai Chi. He waved his hands and struck out a Tai Chi diagram that spun in front of him. The power of yin and yang erupted along with the Tai Chi diagram. Buzz. Buzz. The Tai Chi diagram faced off against the desolate mountain. It directly blocked the aura of desolation. The aura of yin and yang filled the air. It was abnormally terrifying. He pulled out the great spear of destruction, used it as an axe, and slashed down from the sky. It carried the law of death and the law of sword. With a bang, it crossed the heavy sky and smashed into Yu Quan's body. Yu Quan was instantly sent flying. The armor, which had already cracked, was now even more shattered. He spat out a mouthful of blood and almost fainted. Roar! Yu Quan roared as the desolation scripture in his body circulated crazily. He let out a beast-like roar. The palm of desolation. He struck out an extremely terrifying palm of desolation that covered the sky and earth. Lin Xian quickly dodged. At the same time, he waved the great spear of destruction. All kinds of terrifying sword qi surged out. Between heaven and earth, a terrifying collision sounded. Everyone was shocked. Chapter 3990. Yu Quan was completely enraged. He soared into the air like a humanoid Tyrannosaurus Rex as he fought Lin Xian in close combat. Lin Xian was still not afraid. His divine body was not afraid of close combat, so the battle between the two was very shocking. No way, this Lin Wudi is heaven-defying. Can he really fight against Yu Quan? Why do I feel like he's going to suppress Yu Quan now? The surrounding saints whispered, and some of the followers were even more terrified. They felt that it was hard to imagine. All along, the people on the pilgrim list had been godlike existences. But now, someone was going to go against the heavens and kill the gods. Some people even said, "Young master, will Yu Quan really be defeated?" If that was the case, then it would be a big joke. Mo Xiao, who was surrounded by Huang Quan, held the devil trident with an unusually cold expression. Damn it, this Yu Quan won't fail miserably, right? In this way, not only would he be defeated, everyone on the pilgrim list would lose face. In the third zone, Wan Jianyi carried a peerless divine sword with a solemn expression. What a piece of trash. He couldn't even beat an ant. Chao Tianxing put his hands behind his back, wearing a ghost-like mask. He didn't say anything. On the other side, Qin Xiener, who was charming all living beings, was swallowing pills. At the side, they were interested in watching this battle. Yu Quan was completely enraged. He also knew that whether it was his allies, followers, or enemies, they were all paying attention to him. At this moment, they were all paying attention to him. He couldn't lose. With a roar, the laws all over his body spread. The terrifying aura of desolation formed a sacred domain that enveloped Lin Xian. Those laws formed one desolate blade after another in the sacred domain. With a shocking aura, they rampaged between heaven and earth. Lin Xian fought with all his strength. The two of them exchanged blows, and the sky fell and the earth cracked. Terrifying laws intertwined between heaven and earth, and a terrifying roar filled the seventh zone. After another 100 moves, the two separated and confronted each other. There were some wounds on Lin Xian's body, which were caused by the other party's desolate aura. Yu Quan was also not feeling good. He was already injured, and now the wounds on his body were even more terrifying. Some of the wounds that had already healed split open once again. They specifically attacked his wounds, worsening his injuries. In the seventh region, the entire space was completely shattered. Not a single place was intact. When the people in the other regions saw this, they were terrified. Too strong. This Lin Wudi can really contend with Yu Quan. That was a genius ranked on the pilgrim roll. How powerful was that? Many people couldn't believe it. Yu Quan was so angry that his whole body trembled, and a terrifying light flickered in his eyes. Behind him, the aura of desolation combined with the laws to form a mysterious pattern. It was a vast mountain range that formed a valley. There was a blurry figure in the valley, and no one could see clearly what it was. However, just the aura that was emanating from it was enough to send chills down the spines of all the elite geniuses and powerful beings of the older generation. Lin Xian coldly snorted. Although he was injured, he didn't care. Now he had a rough idea of how strong his battle prowess was. Dealing with the current Yu Quan would not be a problem. Furthermore, he still had many trump cards that he had yet to use. The breakthrough this time had indeed brought about an earth-shattering change in his strength. I underestimated you. I didn't expect an ant to be able to contend with me. On the opposite side, Yu Quan spoke. His eyes became even colder. However, the battle could end now. You can be proud that you made me attack with my full strength even if you die. Before he finished speaking, he made his move. Carrying the mysterious illusion and the valley, he soared through the air and directly charged in front of Lin Xian. The void in front of him kept shattering. It was clear that Yu Quan was truly furious. On the other side, Lin Xian also moved as if he had transformed into a true dragon. His entire body was blooming with terrifying sword light. At this moment, he was also attacking with all his strength. Buzz, buzz. Terrifying sword chi and many kinds of laws spread between heaven and earth. The void in front of him kept shattering. Boom. The two collided again, and a world-destroying battle broke out. It seemed that both of them wanted to finish off the other in this battle. The great spear of destruction in Lin Xian's hand kept attacking. It seemed to have turned into a peerless divine sword, quickly attacking Yu Quan's cracked wounds. He wanted to completely split Yu Quan's body apart. However, Yu Quan was still very strong. Although he was seriously injured, he was still extremely terrifying. His figure kept swaying, avoiding those wounds. He tried his best to block the sword chi. Buzz. At the same time, a few cracks appeared on Lin Xian's body. Those were the marks of his opponent's gaze. Moreover, what made his hair stand on end was that behind his opponent, a ray of light suddenly flew out of the mysterious valley. His bones were exposed from his shoulders. It was so terrifying. Lin Xian felt his hair stand on end. It seemed that he had to be extremely careful. There might be even more terrifying methods in the mysterious valley. Lin Xian attacked with all his strength. He used the law of sword to the extreme. The great spear of destruction was like a black dragon being waved by him. He attacked aggressively. His opponent's desolate aura trembled continuously. At the same time, Lin Xian used his fists and legs to fight in close combat. He was very confident in his physique. Therefore, he was not afraid that his opponent would dare to fight him in close combat. Buzz. After exchanging another 30 moves, Lin Xian's eyes suddenly shone with a golden light. He activated a terrifying eye technique. It turned into countless golden light blades and stabbed at his opponent. His opponent had been attacked by his soul before. Now he attacked unexpectedly and severely injured his opponent's soul again. Sure enough, Yuquan did not expect Lin Xian's eye technique to be so powerful. His body trembled, and his soul was about to split open. His movements had also slowed down, revealing an opening. It was a good opportunity. Lin Xian's eyes burst out with a piercing cold light. He held the great spear of destruction with both hands. The law of sword condensed on it, and a dragon's roar sounded. It formed a dragon shadow that coiled around the black spear. Buzz. He slashed forward with his sword. He attacked the crack on his opponent's abdomen. Before that crack, his opponent's internal organs had already been exposed. Now he was attacking with all his might, trying to cut his opponent in half. Buzz, that terrifying aura caused Yuquan's body to tremble. Damn it, his expression changed drastically. If it was hit by this attack, it might really be split in half. How dare you? He frantically retreated, enduring the pain in his soul. He attacked aggressively. The length of desolation slammed down continuously, forming countless defenses in front of him. Boom, boom. An earth-shattering collision sound rang out, and the people in the other areas were all shaken to the point that they sat on the ground. His mind went blank. What they saw before them was incomparably bright. The light and laws of the two completely drowned out everything in front of them. Not good. Some of the top experts had bright eyes. They saw through the laws and saw the battle inside. What had happened? The others also became nervous. What was it that could make these people so shocked? Soon, they saw the scene in front of them through the gaps in the laws. Then, they were all horrified. Thanks to user Heartache for the tip. User General's reward. The sorrow at the user's fingertips. User 135 ***** 2841 tipped. User. Level 7 beauty can't hide your ugliness. Reward. User. The early worm is eaten by the bird. Reward. User. Zhuiying Qingfeng carrot drizzle reward. User. Luxing reward. User. 10 years ago the East and the West. Reward. User. Rome reward. User. Reward. User. Xiaoyao reward. User. Memories are so painful that they are sad. Reward. User. Soup reward. User. Bored reward. User. Unique. Drunk reward. User. Prophet's Prince Charming section reward. Thank you for your monthly votes and recommendation votes. Thank you for your support. Chapter 3991. Yuquan was sent flying, and more blood flowed out of his body. The wound on his opponent's body became even more terrifying, and it seemed that he was about to be cut in half. Only some skin on the side was still connected. The sword strike just now had seriously injured Yuquan again. Yuquan let out a miserable cry, and the people around him felt their scalps go numb. They couldn't believe it. Even the few people on the pilgrim roll were surprised. This battle was also beyond their expectations. Die, kid! Yuquan roared and rushed over again. Behind him, a figure appeared in the mysterious valley. The figure was abnormally hazy, but it could be seen clearly. Although the figure was blurry, he was bound by 8 chains that firmly locked him in the valley. What is it? Many people felt their scalps go numb. Even Wan Jiani and the others frowned. The Great Desolation technique of the Great Desolation Mansion was too terrifying. The Finger of Desolation. The figure bound by the mysterious chains stretched out a finger and charged toward Lin Xian. Lin Xian's pupils shrank. He could feel the immense murderous intent. This attack was truly too terrifying. It seemed that Yu Quan was really going all out. With a roar, he took out the great dragon sword soul and slashed forward. Boom, boom, boom. The two of them exploded with unparalleled power. Both of them were sent flying, and many cracks appeared on Lin Xian's body. His divine body was also shattered at this moment. From this, one could imagine how frightening that mysterious figure was. However, Yu Quan was even worse off. This time he was really cut in half. Not only that, but many sword wounds also appeared on his broken body. The densely packed wounds were a shocking sight. Both of them were seriously injured by this attack. No way, everyone gasped. Yu Quan was really cut in half by the opponent's sword. At this moment, Yu Quan was covered in blood and looked extremely miserable. His face became extremely ferocious. Damn it, this is really too despicable. He didn't even suffer such serious injuries when fighting Qin Xianer. Now he was seriously injured by an ant. It was driving him crazy. Lin Xian's body was also covered in blood, but he laughed and laughed proudly. Geniuses on the pilgrim ranking were nothing more than that, and he was still able to injure them. What is that sword shadow on your body? On the other side, Yu Quan's expression was terrifying as he stared at the dragon-shaped sword shadow. Not to mention him, even Mo Xiao and the others felt their hair stand on end. This brat actually had such a treasure? This was even more so for Wang Jiani and Jianchen. Jianchen's eyes were fiery red. This kind of sword aura was too terrifying. His opponent actually had such a terrifying sword Dao treasure. Wang Jiani's eyes shone with a terrifying light. He stared at the dragon sword shadow. I could feel the power of the strongest. At this moment, countless sword qi appeared around his body as if they were worshipping the sword god. This caused many people to be shocked. Return of the 10,000 swords. This was the ultimate technique of the 10,000 swords pavilion. With the first of 10,000 swords, it was terrifying to the extreme. Mo Xiao, Qin Xianer, and the other experts on the Holy Pilgrim list were also on high alert. Kid, just you wait. This matter isn't over yet. I will never let you go. If I wasn't injured, you wouldn't have the chance to be so arrogant. Indeed, he was clenching his teeth. If he didn't fight with Qin Xianer, he could definitely kill the other party. Lin Xian coldly snorted. It's useless to say anything now. Today, I'll send you on your way. He had a bold idea. The other's eyelids were also twitching. No way, what does this kid want to do? Damn it. Yu Quan was even more furious. His two halves quickly healed, but his face was extremely ugly. Brother Wan, please lend me a hand. This kid's treasure is very suitable for you. Yu Quan asked Wang Jiani for help. Damn this guy, he's too despicable. The dark red divine dragon, the toad, and the others cursed loudly. Murong Qingqing and the others were also extremely nervous. Wang Jiani soared into the sky. Alright, he'll help you. He crossed several districts and came to the 7th district. Lin Xian felt as if he was facing a great enemy. The dragon-shaped sword shadow in his hand became even more dazzling, letting out waves of dragon roars. Kid, you're just taking advantage of the situation. If Yu Quan wasn't injured, you wouldn't have the chance to win. That's right. The demonic cultivator also flew over, with dozens of great Dao chains wrapped around his body. However, he was not afraid. Moreover, don't think that you can fight against me just because you injured Yu Quan. To tell you the truth, we're all minor saints. It's just that our cultivation bases are suppressed here. If we were in the outside world, we could kill you with just a flick of our fingers. Therefore, in front of us, you don't have the qualifications to be arrogant. Not good. Lin Wudi is in danger. 2 experts on the holy list wanted to help Yu Quan. No matter how strong Lin Wudi was, he couldn't resist them. Lin Xian's expression was also solemn. After saying so much, he just wanted to regain his face. How many years have you guys cultivated? I've only cultivated for a few years. I'm just a mid-5th layer saint. I'm indeed proud of defeating you guys. You guys have the face to call yourselves minor saints. If I'm a minor saint, I can kill all 3 of you with one hand. Facing the pressure of the 3, he was still not afraid. Mo Xiao shouted coldly. He took a step forward, and the yellow springs diagram above his head spun out. It seemed that he wanted to refine Lin Xian. On the other side, Wang Jiani's body was filled with sword qi. It seems that I have to teach you a good lesson, and let you know what fear is. Io, you guys are ganging up to bully a young little brother. You guys are really heroic. I can't stand it anymore. At this moment, a beautiful figure floated over and came to Lin Xian's side. She laughed. What? You guys really don't care about your status and want to make a move on someone who is hundreds or even thousands of years younger than you. Qin Xiener, what do you mean? Emotio frowned. This has nothing to do with you. Qin Xiener laughed, and her charming eyes made the blood of those around her boil. Even the demonic cultivator's pupils shrank, as if he was facing a great enemy. Qin Xiener giggled. If this has nothing to do with me, then it has something to do with you? What does this have to do with you? Humph, he killed the chief disciple of my Yellow Springs Hall. Naturally, I'll take revenge on him. He killed so many sword saints of my Myriad Swords Pavilion. How can I let him go? I'll bring him back to the Myriad Swords Pavilion, and let him use the rest of his life to atone for his sins. You guys are just greedy for treasures, aren't you? Qin Xiener giggled. I feel like old friends with this little brother. I want to protect him. Can't I? You can try. Yuquan also stood out. His broken body had already recovered. His expression was extremely ferocious. Qin Xiener, your joyous union bell is powerful, but can you fight against the three of us? Chapter 3992. Oh, is that so? At this moment, Chao Tiansheng, who had been standing with his hands behind his back and watching the battle in silence, also spoke. His figure flickered, and he also came to the 7th zone. He faced Wang Jiani. This scene made Yuquan and Emotio's faces become extremely ugly. Apart from Wang Jiani, who had an unparalleled sword chi, these people were afraid of another person, and that was Chao Tiansheng, because he was too mysterious, and he didn't easily take action. However, no one dared to doubt his strength. At this moment, his appearance made Emotio and Yuquan feel like they were facing a great enemy. Qin Xiener's smile became even more charming as she spoke in a coquettish voice. What's wrong? Is this lineup enough to stop you all? Chao Tiansheng, are you going to interfere in this matter? Are you going to protect this kid? Wang Jiani's voice was biting cold, and the sword intent on his body became even more terrifying, as if it was going to pierce the sky. Chao Tiansheng still stood with his hands behind his back. He was wearing a ferocious mask, so no one could see his expression. However, his eyes were as calm as water. I've long heard that Wang Jiani's sword technique is peerless. I'd like to experience it today. Is that so? Then as you wish. The sword intent on Wang Jiani's body became even more terrifying. Lin Xian felt a huge pressure. The expert's dragon shadow swayed, turning into countless dragon-shaped sword chi that surrounded him. If they really fought, he would be able to contend with Yuquan. At least he wouldn't be at a disadvantage. Why is it so lively? Do you want to rank in advance? At this moment, another voice rang out. Then, a figure appeared out of thin air above their heads. Who is this person? When did he appear? The surrounding saints were all at a loss. They didn't sense it at all before. Even Emotio and Lu Quan's pupils shrank. Wang Jiani frowned. Gufeng, do you want to interfere too? Gufeng, is he the spatial expert on the pilgrim list? Many people screamed. Space was king. The space god art was mysterious and unfathomable, unparalleled. Now that a spatial super expert had appeared, everyone was in an uproar. Lin Xian was also surprised. He looked at Gufeng. Gufeng was too strange. He could only see a blurry figure, but he couldn't see his face at all. The reason for that was because the spatial energy he possessed was extremely frightening. Their gazes were completely engulfed by the power of space. Therefore, he was unable to detect the other party's appearance, or even the aura of their cultivation. Space was capable of isolating everything. Lin Wudi, interesting. You remind me of someone. Gufeng's eyes were incomparably black, like two black holes. He looked down. His voice stunned everyone. What was going on? Did this Gufeng know Lin Wudi? Lin Xian was taken aback as well. Could it really be him? True spirit world Gu family. Legend had it that there was a divine body. Back then so many geniuses had appeared. In the end, the divine body did not appear. There were even people who doubted whether he had a divine body or not. But now Lin Xian felt that it was very possible that it was this person in front of him. He wasn't confident because he had never seen the other party before. However, the other party's words seemed to remind him that there might be some kind of connection between the two of them. This connection was probably because they all came from the true spirit world. Just as everyone was discussing spiritedly, they suddenly trembled and looked around in bewilderment. What a terrifying killing intent. What was going on? It seemed like a god of death was about to appear. Lin Xian was also stunned. There was a top assassin. Qin Xiener also stopped smiling. Wuxia, you're here? She said coquettishly. Everyone was in an uproar again. Wuxia was a super assassin in the mortal world. He was also someone on the pilgrim ranking. He had also come. Now the 7 people on the transcendence ranking were finally all here. However, no one appeared between heaven and earth. That murderous aura came suddenly and disappeared just as quickly. It disappeared without a trace. Everyone even thought that they had been hallucinating. Did that Wuxia come or not? Because of Lin Xian, so many experts on the pilgrim ranking were facing each other. It could be said that this was the first time this had happened. However, at this moment, a shocking fluctuation came from the depths of the Destiny Star. Everyone's expression changed. The Destiny Stone was about to open. I'll spare your life this time. Wang Jianyi's figure flickered, and he returned to his own area. Kid, you're very lucky. However, once you leave the Destiny Star, you're still an ant in front of us. Emoshio also soared into the sky. Little brother, return to your own area. It's time to test your destiny. Qin Xiener smiled and winked. What a powerful bewitching technique. Lin Xian was shocked. He couldn't help it just now, but fortunately, his soul was also very strong. He recovered in an instant. I understand. Thank you, fairy. Qin Xiener was stunned. One had to know that her charm was something that even Emoshio and the others might not be able to completely resist. However, the youth in front of her had recovered in an instant. It was really surprising. Things are getting more and more interesting. I hope you won't disappoint me. Qin Xiener smiled seductively, then soared into the sky and flew into the distance. Chao Tiansheng also left. From start to finish, he didn't even look at Lin Xian. However, Lin Xian still thanked him. If it wasn't for Chao Tiansheng's arrival, Wang Jianyi would have already attacked. Those people returned to their own areas, leaving only Yuquan in the 7th area. Yuquan's face was cold. Kid, you're so arrogant. Once I recover my true cultivation, I'll show you how I'll kill you. He gritted his teeth. Lin Xian snorted coldly. I'll accompany you anytime. But don't worry, I'll soon make it to the sage rankings. At that time, the first person to challenge me will be you. I'll trample you under my feet and replace your spot. At this point, Lin Xian laughed loudly and returned to the 9th zone. Damn it. Yuquan was about to vomit blood. The other party was openly provoking him, but he couldn't fight back. This feeling was really too sullen. In the end, he held back and didn't make a move. This was the most important moment. They had all come to the celestial fate planet to wait for this moment. Sure enough, countless people looked in front of them. There was a resplendent light in front of them. It was a scene of immortals. There was a huge stone in front of them. There were 7 orifices and 9 caves. It was incomparably mysterious. Was that the legendary Destiny Stone? It could measure their future destiny. These people were extremely excited. After Lin Xian returned, Morong Qingqing and the others also heaved a sigh of relief. Then, they looked in front of them. Was it finally about to begin? They were also a little nervous. They didn't know what level they would reach in the end. Everyone leaned forward and went up. At this moment, a figure in a green robe appeared beside the Destiny Stone. This person was wearing a bronze mask. Chapter 3993. The bronze emissary had walked out of the bronze gate. Was he going to preside over the test? Sure enough, the bronze emissary's voice was unusually calm. His voice spread throughout the surroundings. The test of the Destiny Stone had begun. Who will do it? Let me do it. A figure turned into lightning and instantly rushed forward. It was Lei Zhen. He could not wait any longer. He had to find out what his destiny was. The bronze emissary did not say anything. The others were also curious. They wanted to see what kind of future Lei Zhen had. At the same time, they also wanted to know how the Destiny Stone would test his destiny. Lei Zhen continued walking forward. He drew a line of blood on his palm, and then placed his hand on the Destiny Stone. The blood merged into the Destiny Stone. In the next moment, the light on the Destiny Stone spun, and the Great Tao intertwined. Everyone was nervous and looked forward to it. As for Lei Zhen, he was extremely nervous. At this moment, the Destiny Stone changed. The changes intertwined and formed an image. In that illusion there was a mighty and extraordinary figure. Stepping on thunder, he looked like the thunder god. There were 3 strange flowers above his head. They quickly formed and became more and more colorful. Then the 3 strange purple flowers disappeared. All kinds of auspicious signs descended between heaven and earth. What was that? Everyone was surprised and did not understand. They watched carefully and did not dare to breathe loudly. The auspicious signs of heaven and earth quickly gathered. In the end there was an image of a lotus, but it was not solid. It was very faint. Soon, all the illusions disappeared. Lei Zhen was also confused. He looked at the bronze emissary and said respectfully, "Senior, please enlighten me." The bronze emissary said indifferently. 3 strange flowers above his head were the 3 flowers at one's prominence. That was a small saint. Auspicious signs descended from the sky. That was an auspicious sign from the heavens. He could become a sacred venerate. When he said that, the crowd was in an uproar. In other words, Lei Zhen could become a sacred venerate. That was incredible. Someone said, "Is he only a sacred venerate?" They thought that Lei Zhen could become a sacred king. Lei Zhen's expression changed drastically. Although becoming a sacred venerate was also a supreme expert, he was unwilling to accept it. His goal was to become a sacred king. "Senior, what is a sacred king?" Lei Zhen asked quickly. The bronze emissary said indifferently. Lotus steps was the illusion of a sacred king. As soon as these words came out, the crowd was in an uproar again. In the end, all the strange phenomena formed an illusory lotus under Lei Zhen's feet. He still hadn't reached the level of lotus blooming step, but he had already surpassed the level of heavenly general auspicious signs. What was going on? The envoy looked at Lei Zhen and said in a deep voice, "It won't be a problem for you to become a sacred venerate. However, with your aptitude, it won't be easy for you to become a sage king. If one did not have a heaven-defying opportunity, one would not be able to become a sage king." This news was like a thunderclap. Lei Zhen's face turned ugly. With his talent, he could only become a holy venerate. The blow was too great for him. One had to know that sage king and sage sovereign were just 2 words apart, but their identities were vastly different. A sage king was a supreme existence in the 2nd astral realm. The saint venerables could only kneel before the saint kings. However, the others were extremely envious. Although they couldn't become saint kings, saint venerables were extremely terrifying. That was a supreme expert who could sweep through an entire star field. If they could become one, they would probably wake up laughing in their dreams. "I still have a chance." Lei Zhen clenched his fists. It wasn't that he couldn't become a sage king, but this path was much more difficult. As long as there was a chance, he wouldn't give up. Lei Zhen took a deep breath and cupped his fists. "Thank you, senior." Then he stepped back. Who would be the next one? Everyone was looking forward to it. To be honest, not everyone had the opportunity and strength to predict the destiny. Some people didn't even have the Tao flower, let alone predict the destiny. Most people came to the Destiny planet to look for treasures and work hard to improve themselves. Only a very small number of people were eager to know their future. And this group of people were those who stood at the pinnacle of existence. "I'll do it." 9-headed Qilin quickly walked out. He couldn't wait any longer. This time, he had lost so many lives. He wanted a perfect result. He glared at Lin Xian, and then came to the Destiny Stone. He bowed respectfully. He cut his palm and placed it on the stone. Everyone was nervous and excited again. They didn't know what level 9-headed Qilin would reach. Soon the figure of 9-headed Qilin appeared on the Destiny Stone. 3 flowers appeared on his head, and auspicious signs appeared. It was a sage king. Many people exclaimed. However, it wasn't over. After the auspicious signs appeared, lotus flowers appeared under his feet. Lotus flowers bloomed with every step. Heavens, a sage king. This nine-headed Qilin had the potential to become a sage king. Everyone screamed. Nine-headed Qilin's lips curled into a smile. Very good. Lei Zhen's face turned cold when he saw this. Damn it, he had been defeated by the other party. The bronze envoy nodded slightly. If there were no accidents, with his talent and potential he could become a sage king. Thank you, envoy. Nine-headed Qilin bowed respectfully, and then walked away proudly. During this time, he glanced at Lin Xian with a hint of provocation. Lin Xian sneered. Wasn't nine-headed Qilin a sage king? He believed that with his talent, it wouldn't be a problem for him to become a sage king. Next, more experts went up one after another. They were either chief disciples, top prodigies, or elders. Most of these people were holy venerates. There were very few sage kings. One could imagine how difficult it was to become a sage king. However, it made sense. After becoming a sage king, one could open up a sage city and accept 10,000 sages. How glorious was that? As for those above the sage king, no one had appeared. Could someone become the great sage? Everyone didn't dare to believe it. There were so many sage cities in the astral realm, but there might not be a great sage. Thinking of the great sage, Lin Xian and the others thought of La Heishan. This was the remnant soul of the great sage. They wondered what Heishan had experienced back then for him to die. At the same time, they were also curious. How was Heishan in the Golden Palace? Was he in danger? Not long after, another scream was heard. It turned out that someone was walking with lotus flowers, forming the image of a sage king. This made everyone exclaim. Lin Xian and the others were also surprised. Who was it? This was incredible. Li Hongxiu and the others looked carefully. It was Jianchen, the dark red dragon, and the others gritted their teeth. Lin Xian also narrowed his eyes. Jianchen, the chief disciple of the 10,000 Swords Pavilion. It seemed that his talent was indeed very strong. Next, Gao Yu and Bai Luo, the two peerless beauties, also walked up to take the test. Chapter 3994. Their situation was similar to Lei Zhen's. They had received an auspicious sign, and an illusory lotus flower had formed under their feet. There was no problem for them to become sacred sovereigns. However, it was difficult for them to become sacred kings. With their talents, it would be very difficult for them to do so unless they had other great opportunities. The crown prince of the new moon race was in the same situation. More people went up. Everyone's gaze shifted to Lin Xian. So far, there weren't many people who had the talent of becoming a sacred king. They wondered what Lin Wudi would be like. He should have the talent of becoming a sacred king. That was for sure. He had defeated Jianchen and nine-headed Qilin. They just didn't know when he would go up for the test. They were all looking forward to it. Some people also said that not only Lin Wudi, but the people around him were also very strong. They all had a high chance of becoming a sacred king. Why don't you guys go and try? Lin Xian asked with a smile. Oh, go and try. The northern devil walked out. He cut his hand and placed it on the destiny stone. Soon, a golden lotus appeared under his feet. Lotuses bloomed with every step. Oh my God, this person also has the talent to become a sacred king. Who is he? Many people were shocked. This was one of Lin Wudi's companions. The surrounding experts were too shocked. Although they had seen the Northern Devil before, they didn't think that he was famous. He was far inferior to Lin Wudi and Li Hongxiu. However, they didn't expect that such a person had the talent to become a sacred king. One had to know that only Jianchun, nine-headed Qilin, and a few others had such talent. Didn't this mean that this young man called the Northern Devil's talent wasn't inferior to nine-headed Qilin and the others? Not bad. The Northern Devil smiled when he returned. Lin Xian and the others also gave him a thumbs up. His talent was very strong. The dark red dragon said from the side. Kid, don't worry. With your talent and that old man in a black shirt, it's not impossible for you to surpass a sacred king in the future. Indeed. Lin Xian nodded after hearing that. The bronze messenger also said that as long as one had a heaven-defying opportunity, they could break through to heaven's mandate. Furthermore, They knew that Tianming's predictions weren't completely accurate. For example, if one died prematurely, no matter how good one's fate was, it would be useless. "I'll try." Li Hongxiu also stepped forward. She was the daughter of the Saint King, and her bloodline was extremely terrifying. Therefore, he was able to achieve the scene of lotuses blooming with every step. As expected, the daughter of a Saint King also had the talent to become a Saint King. Everyone was extremely envious. "Little sister Qingcheng, are you not going?" Li Hongxiu asked after coming back. Lin Xian also said, "Qingcheng, go and try it." However, Murong Qingcheng shook her head. "No, I have the 7-colored phoenix bloodline. If it were to be exposed, I would be hunted down by the Phoenix clan. That would be bad." Lin Xian nodded. "Since that was the case, then forget it." Anyway, Murong Qingcheng's talent was definitely not inferior to his. That was a bloodline that even the emperor clans were jealous of. It shouldn't be a problem for her to become a Saint King. He even felt that Murong Qingcheng could definitely go further. The dark red divine dragon and the toad didn't go either. The dark red divine dragon's bloodline was also very terrifying among dragons. Therefore, he didn't want to take the lead. As for the toad, it was even stranger. It was originally a new creature of Tianming, so it didn't need to be tested. Therefore, only Lin Xian was left. However, Lin Xian wasn't in a hurry. He was waiting. He wanted to see what kind of talent the people on the pilgrim list had. Yu Quan snorted coldly and took the lead to walk up. Everyone was excited. "Heavens, it's Yu Quan. Are the people on the pilgrim list going to be tested? I wonder what kind of talent this group of people will have." These people were extremely excited. Soon, lotuses rose under Yu Quan's feet. Lotuses blooming with every step. Everyone was envious. Yu Quan wasn't surprised by this. He snorted lightly and walked back. Then Mo Xiu also walked up. Lotuses blooming with every step. Qin Xianer charmed everyone, and also blooming with lotuses. However, they were all lotus blooming steps, but there were still differences. Qin Xianer's lotuses were obviously brighter and more numerous than Yu Quan's. Regarding this, Li Hongxiu explained that there were also strong and weak sage kings. This meant that Qin Xianer's future achievements would be higher than Yu Quan's. Knowing this result, Yu Quan's face became a little ugly. Damn it, this woman. He didn't expect that he would be defeated by her again. When it was Wang Jianyi's turn, everyone screamed, because Wang Jianyi's lotuses were even more terrifying than Qin Xianer's. The sky was full of golden lotuses flickering nonstop, covering the sky and the earth. Not only that, in the illusion, in addition to lotuses blooming under his feet, there was also a trace of light flickering above his head. The light of the galaxy. A trace of light appeared in the bronze envoy's eyes. He smiled. "I didn't expect you to be able to trigger the light of the galaxy. Although it was only a trace, it was very weak. It meant that you had a chance to break through to the great sage realm." As soon as these words came out, everyone was in an uproar. They looked at Wang Jianyi with excitement. This talent was too heaven-defying. The first one had appeared. The person who had the ability to break through to the great sage realm had appeared. Even Lin Xian and the others were surprised. The dark red dragon sucked in a breath of cold air. This person was incredible. Murong Qingcheng, Li Hongxiu, and the others also had serious expressions. So far, so many top geniuses and peerless powerhouses had been tested, but only Wang Jianyi had triggered the light of the galaxy. Wang Jianyi's mouth curled up into a smile. He clenched his fists, his face full of excitement. The great sage realm. Even he was excited at this moment. Great, Jianchen was cheering there. The 10,000 Swords Pavilion was going to rise. If a great sage realm appeared in the 10,000 Swords Pavilion, then they would be able to rule the second astral realm and surpass all the holy cities. As for the other holy cities, they were extremely shocked. This was an incredible piece of news. It would probably cause a huge storm after the celestial fate star test ended. However, at this moment the bronze envoy spoke. He said in a deep voice, "Although you triggered the light of the galaxy, it was too weak. This doesn't mean that you can completely become the great sage. It's just that you have the possibility. As for whether you can become one, it depends on your luck. Thank you for your advice, Senior. I will remember it in my heart, Wang Jiani said gratefully with cupped fists. Although there was only a slight possibility, it meant that he had surpassed the others. Because the others didn't even have the slightest possibility. Damn it, he actually had the chance to become the great sage realm. Yu Quan, Emoshio, and the others clenched their fists. Their eyes were red. Although they knew that it was as difficult as ascending to the heavens for him to become the great sage realm. But there was still such a possibility. However, they didn't have it at all. The gap between them was simply too great. If they wanted to stop him, they had to kill him before he became the great sage realm. Qin Xianer was also envious. Her beautiful eyes flickered, and no one knew what she was thinking. Chapter 3995. Everyone was in an uproar, but there were two people among them who were extremely calm. One of them was Chao Tiansheng, who stood with his hands behind his back and wore a green ghost mask. His expression was calm, as if this was nothing to be surprised about. The other was a space-type powerhouse who stood in the void and exuded the power of space, making it impossible for others to see what was real and what was not. Gufeng. Although the crowd couldn't see his face clearly, they could feel his smile. This was too strange. Everyone knew that this was because the other party's use of space power had reached perfection. They could only see what the other party wanted them to see. If he didn't want them to see it, even if they broke their heads and used all their secret methods, they wouldn't be able to find anything. The other party was actually smiling. It seemed that the other party also had unlimited confidence. They were looking forward to it. They didn't know what this space-type powerhouse would be like. Let me test it. The appearance of the Starry River's brilliance completely caused everyone to boil. Even the top assassin hiding in the dark couldn't hold it in anymore. He finally walked out of the void. This was the top killer saint in the mortal world. As expected, he also came. Many people screamed. This person was Wuxia. After he walked up, he also took the test. Under his feet, golden lotuses of the great path filled the sky. The scene was better than that of Emoshio, Yu Quan, and the others. This made Emoshio and Yu Quan's expressions turn ugly. Especially Yu Quan, whose teeth were about to shatter. However, the only thing that made people sigh was that there was no Starry River's brilliance with every step. This meant that the other party was not fated to be the great sage. Impossible. Wuxia couldn't accept this fact at all. Was he really not fated to be the great sage? Damn it, I don't believe it. What kind of broken stone is this? He actually pulled out a killing sword and slashed it fiercely. No. Damn it, how dare you? Many people screamed. If the Destiny Stone was destroyed, wouldn't that mean that they wouldn't even be qualified to take the test? At this critical moment, the bronze emissary stretched out a finger and gently pointed forward. The sword in Wu Xin's hand shattered, and his arm turned into a bloody mist and flew backward. Seeing that it wasn't easy for you to cultivate, I'll spare your life. If you dare to offend me again, I'll destroy your heart and soul. Get lost. The bronze envoy shouted coldly. After Wuxia heard this, he left scared witless. The others were shocked beyond words. That was Wuxia, a top genius on the pilgrim list. But now, in front of the bronze emissary, he couldn't even block a single finger. How strong was the bronze emissary? They didn't know, but it was likely that no one would dare to act impudently in front of him anymore. Humph, what a reckless fool. He actually dared to provoke the bronze envoy? Gufeng shook his head. He stepped forward and cupped his fists at the bronze emissary. Senior, please calm down. That kind of trash was not worth getting angry over. Why don't I use my heavenly fate test to make you happy? After saying that, he walked forward. The surrounding people whispered to each other. This Gufeng was too confident. That's right, he actually looked down on Wuxia. He wondered what his destiny would be like. At this moment, countless people were paying attention. Even Lin Xian had a serious expression on his face. Soon, lotuses bloomed at every step above the mandate of heaven. This caused the crowd to exclaim in surprise. This was something that everyone had expected. The strength of this space-type powerhouse was unparalleled. However, no one knew if he had the possibility of becoming the great sage. At this moment, even Wang Jiani became nervous. Could Gufeng's future achievements be on par with his? In the next moment, countless people screamed. Look, It's the brilliance of the galaxy. Indeed, the brilliance of the galaxy appeared under Gufeng's lead. It was incomparably dazzling, illuminating the sky. The brilliance of the galaxy was much brighter than Wan Jianyi's. The great sage's talent. He had the talent to become the great sage. This Gufeng's talent was too strong. As expected of a space-type powerhouse. Screams rang out one after another. At this moment, the surrounding sages were all stunned. Even the people on the pilgrim list were in an uproar. Was it true? Was his talent better than Wan Jianyi's? Mo Xiao Yuquan and the others clenched their fists tightly. They were going crazy with jealousy. Wan Jianyi's expression also became ugly. Did someone surpass him in terms of talent? Damn it, Gufeng's future achievements were even greater than his. The bronze emissary's eyes also burst out with bright light. He clapped his hands and laughed. Good, good, good. He didn't expect a complete galaxy to appear. This young man was extremely talented. If there were no accidents in the future, he would have no problem becoming the great sage. The great sage was in existence above the sage king. There wasn't a single great sage in the entire second astral realm. One could imagine how terrifying this was. Lin Xian, the dark red divine dragon, and the others all gasped. This was a peerless enemy. When he grew up in the future, he would be incomparably terrifying. Wan Jianyi's eyes burst out with a piercing light. This Gufeng made him feel a sense of fear and danger. He had to get rid of him. Moreover, it had to be done in the near future. It would be best if he could become a sage. Otherwise, this space-type powerhouse would be even more terrifying in the later stages. Even Chao Tianxing revealed a look of surprise this time. His eyes shone with a mysterious light. No one knew what he was thinking. The space-type powerhouse was indeed worthy of its reputation. He nodded slightly. The surrounding people exclaimed. And it took a long time before they gradually calmed down. Everyone's gaze was on Chao Tianxing. There was only one person left on the pilgrim list. This Chao Tianxing was incomparably mysterious. No one had even seen his real face. Moreover, he didn't fight often, but every time he did, it was earth-shattering. Previously, he was facing off against Wan Jianyi. Thinking about it, his strength was definitely not inferior to Wan Jianyi. I wonder how his heavenly fate is. Whispers sounded. Everyone was incomparably curious. Even Lin Xian and the others were looking forward to it. However, Chao Tianxing shook his head. I don't need to test my destiny. What? Everyone was stunned. He didn't need to test? Even Wan Jianyi, Gufeng, and the others were stunned. Yu Quan and the others were even more stunned. They worked so hard to suppress their cultivation to come to the celestial realm. Wasn't it just to test their destiny? But now, there was someone who didn't want to test it. What kind of joke was this? Then why did he come here? I think you don't dare to test it. Wan Jianyi coldly snorted. Previously, Chao Tianxing dared to confront him, which made him very unhappy. In the face of such provocation, Chao Tianxing didn't care. There was no such thing as daring or not, only wanting to test it. I already said that I don't need to test it. I hope Lord Envoy can forgive me. The bronze envoy also revealed a look of surprise. There was actually someone who could resist this temptation. One must know that. The future was so mysterious. If someone could seize the opportunity first, it would be much more convenient in the future. It could be said that one step ahead, every step ahead. However, there was actually someone who didn't want this opportunity. Chapter 3996. Lin Xian and the others also frowned. This Chao Tianxing was incredible. He must have a huge secret. The dark red dragon said. Morong Qingqing too. Her eyes flickered. Perhaps he has a bloodline equal to ours. Indeed, the dark red dragon Morong Qingqing and the others didn't participate in the test. Because they had shocking bloodlines. Once it was exposed, it would cause unnecessary trouble. Perhaps it would even cause the monarch race to hunt them down. Chao Tianxing was unpredictable. Perhaps he had the same worry. But no one knew what he was worried about. Interesting. He couldn't see through him. Gufeng was also surprised. He felt that Chao Tianxing was even more mysterious than him. It seemed that he would be a difficult opponent in the future. Chao Tianxing gave up. This surprised everyone. However, the test still had to be carried out. Soon, someone went up to take the test again. It was his destiny. Most of them were followers of the pilgrim role. These people were called followers, but their strength was also abnormally strong. They were not weaker than the chief disciples. In fact, they were even stronger. Therefore, these people were very talented. Many of them had hopes of becoming sacred venerables. The saints in the other areas also came up to take the test. After all, as long as they went up and pressed their blood and palm on it, they would be able to see the future. This made everyone tempted. However, the next best was only a sacred venerable. The sacred king never appeared again. Everyone knew that if it wasn't a top chief disciple, or someone on the pilgrim role, it was impossible for others to become a sacred king, not to mention the great sage. So far, there were only 2 people. To be exact, there was only one. Wang Jiani only had hope. As for whether he would succeed in the future, no one knew. "Oh, go and try." Lin Xian looked for a long time. He took a deep breath and walked forward. As soon as he walked out, everyone stopped talking. The entire place was silent. Planet Tianming was terrifyingly quiet. Was Lin Wudi going to take the test? He finally couldn't hold it in anymore. "I thought he was going to give up too." Exclamations sounded. At this moment, it could be said that he was the focus of everyone's attention. Lei Zhen, the 9 Qilins, Prince Da, and the others clenched their fists. This was their lifelong enemy. Yu Quan and the others also had cold expressions. Although Chao Tiansheng's cultivation was inferior to theirs. However, his strength had already shocked them. In the future, he would be a strong opponent for the pilgrim rankings. He could be said to be a potential enemy. The fate of such a person was what they were most concerned about. If it was super strong, they would find a way to kill it in the cradle. Northern Monster and the others were nervous as well. With this kid's talent and physique, it shouldn't be a problem for him to become a sage king. I wonder if he can become a great sage. They were also nervous and expectant. Under the gazes of the crowd, Lin Xian walked forward. Lin Xian first bowed to the bronze emissary before cutting his finger and pressing it forward. The bronze envoy also nodded slightly. He still remembered the young man in front of him clearly. He remembered that the other party had even broken a world record. Such a person's talent and future were destined to be good. Perhaps Su could give her an unexpected surprise. "Come, let me see what kind of heaven's mandate you can reach." Gu Feng crossed his arms. The spatial energy in his body was becoming more and more mysterious. On the other side, Mr. Chao also had his hands behind his back. This time his expression was solemn. Lin Xian's blood fused into the Heaven's Mandate Stone. The Heaven's Mandate Stone shone brightly as the great Tao intertwined. 3 flowers gathered above, auspicious signs descended from the heavens, and lotuses bloomed with every step. Soon, all kinds of strange phenomena appeared around Lin Xian, causing countless people to exclaim. Lotuses bloomed with every step. This kid really had the talent to become a sage king. That was for sure. If he couldn't become a sage king, the others probably wouldn't have any hope. After all, Lin Xian was now known as the #1 chief disciple. Did he have the opportunity to become a great sage? These people were all nervous. Even people as strong as Jianqin and the 9 Qilins didn't have such a possibility. Many of the experts on the pilgrim rankings didn't even have one. There were only 2 people. One was Gu Feng, and the other was Wang Jiani. And Gu Feng was sure that Wang Jiani only had a slight chance. It could be said that he only had 1.5 chances. Could Lin Xian break the legend that Gu Feng had created? To be honest, even Lin Xian was nervous. Gradually, a light condensed above his head, and then it burst out. It appeared, the glory of the Milky Way. Countless people screamed. At this moment, all the sages on planet Tianming were shocked. This kid really condensed it. The glory of the Milky Way. That's great. The dark red dragon and the others screamed. I knew that this kid definitely had the qualifications to become a great sage. Morong Qingqing also breathed a sigh of relief. It was rumored that when the 9 Yang divine body was cultivated to the large success stage, it wouldn't be a problem to become a great sage. Now it seemed that it was true. Even Li Hongxia was stunned. Wow, this kid actually had such a heaven-defying destiny. The toad even jumped up. I'm not seeing things right? It was so rare for a great sage to appear. Everyone knew that. Now Lin Xian also had such a possibility. Moreover, the glory of the Milky Way was on par with Gu Feng, completely surpassing Wang Jiani. In other words, if the other party didn't fall, there would be no problem for him to become a great sage. Everyone was shocked by this scene. Damn it, how could it be like this? Lei Zhen, the 9 Qilins, the eldest prince, and the others gritted their teeth. Their eyes were red, and they were about to faint. They had never put the other party in their eyes before, but now, the other party had already surpassed them. In the future, he would also ruthlessly trample them under his feet. This really frightened them. Gao Yu by Luo, and the others exclaimed in shock. On the other side, Yu Quan gritted his teeth. The great sage. The other party's future was better than his, and it was much better than his. Emoshio was the same. He was simply crazy with jealousy. This kid was really too surprising. Jian Chen's face was also full of surprise. He didn't dare to believe it. Wang Jiani's face was cold, and his eyes were filled with killing intent. The other party's talent was better than his? Damn it, he didn't believe it. On the side, Jian Chen said, "Senior brother, don't worry. The future is limitless. If he falls early, he won't have a chance to become a great sage. Senior brother, it's not convenient for you to make a move. When we leave planet Tianming, I'll make arrangements. I'll make sure he can't even become a small sage." These people were filled with killing intent. In fact, it wasn't just Jianchun and the Myriad Sword Pavilion. The other saint cities were also filled with killing intent. The reason for that was because Lin Xian had made too many enemies in the past. If such a person became a great sage in the future, then who in the 2-star realms would be his match? Interesting. Qiao Tiansheng's eyes flickered. It was obvious that he was very interested in Lin Xian. The bronze emissary also clapped his hands and laughed. Good, good, good. It was simply heaven-defying to have a great sage's talent. But now there were 2 of them. It really made him happy. Chapter 3997. On the other side, the smile on Gu Feng's face disappeared. To be honest, he was looking forward to seeing what kind of future Lin Fan would have. However, when he saw it, he felt a little uncomfortable. Lin Fan had the same qualifications as him to be part of the great sage. This made him extremely unhappy. He was the king of spatial abilities. How could Lin Fan compare to him? He snorted coldly, and his face darkened. The great sage? Lin Xian's eyes flickered. Although he was very excited, this was not what he wanted. He wanted more. Just when the others thought that it was over, the situation changed again. This time, everyone was stunned. Even the bronze emissary was dumbfounded. He could not believe it. His jaw was about to drop. The starry river in the sky kept flickering, and then it formed stars one after another. They turned into a universe and matured above Lin Xian's head. What kind of scene was this? It was too terrifying. Everyone was stunned. This was impossible. Gu Feng also screamed, and Wang Jiani's eyes were filled with murderous intent. He could not help but want to attack. Even among great sages, this kid must be at the peak of existence. The dark red divine dragon and Morong Qingqing were also shocked. However, this was not the end. The starry universe above his head actually hung down and enveloped Lin Xian. Finally, it crawled under Lin Xian's feet. This scene was too terrifying. Stepping on the starry river? Was this still the brilliance of the starry river? Everyone looked over and found that the changes continued. Lin Xian's figure appeared in the stars under his feet, and in the endless starry world. He was like a god, accepting the worship of all the worlds in the universe. At this moment, the bronze messenger was terrified. He took 3 steps back and screamed in horror. Illuminating the heavens. You can actually reach the illuminating the heavens. Impossible. The others were also stunned. They had never seen this scene before. At this moment, when they heard the bronze messenger scream and tremble, they were even more shocked. Illuminating the heavens, what was that? One had to know that different destinies had different titles. For example, the auspicious sign from the heavens was the Holy Sovereign. Lotus blooming step by step was the Saint King. The splendor of the galaxy was the Great Sage. However, at this moment, a new term had appeared. Heaven illuminating. Could it be that he was above the great sage? These people had such a thought. Then they all shook their heads frantically. They were all stunned. That's impossible. Above the great sage. Wasn't that a legendary existence? Did anyone really have that kind of aptitude? This was simply too heaven-defying. Above the great sage. There was no need to mention the great emperor. Since ancient times, every martial monarch had been a supreme existence that had shaken both the past and the present. Such a person had not appeared for tens of thousands of years. Furthermore, their greatest goal in life was to become the legendary great emperor. They also walked the path of the primeval emperors, but in their hearts, they knew very well that the primeval emperors were the strongest. This was just a beautiful dream that no one could achieve. Right now, even becoming the great sage was an extravagant hope, let alone becoming an existence above the great sage. But now someone had actually obtained that talent? It can't be. This brat was so scared that he couldn't speak. The dark red divine dragon was also dumbstruck. Murong Qingqing exclaimed, "Great brother Xian's future is too good." Li Hongxiu, who was next to him, was also stunned. She had never seen anything like it. Not to mention them, even Wan Jianyi, Gu Feng, and the others were dumbfounded, unable to believe their eyes. Qiao Tiansheng's eyes shone with a terrifying light. At this moment, he was like a demon god that had come back to life, glaring at Lin Xian. Impossible. Everyone was roaring. They simply couldn't accept it. They didn't dare to imagine it. Get rid of this brat. I must get rid of him. Wan Jianyi, Yu Quan, and Mo Xiu, and the others were brimming with killing intent. They swore that they wouldn't wait a second after leaving planet Tianming. They had to work together to kill him. They would never allow such a person to exist. At the same time, the bronze emissary was also stunned. He had never seen such a situation before. The heaven illuminator only existed in ancient books. At this moment, he saw it with his own eyes. Was he going to witness history? Was a great emperor suddenly rising in front of him? Thinking of this possibility, even with his cultivation and strength, he couldn't help but tremble. A heaven illuminator? Lin Xian's eyes flickered. He was also excited, and the corner of his mouth raised into a smile. Great, although he didn't know whether it was a great emperor or not. It was definitely an existence above the great sage. His life and death battles weren't in vain. It was too worth it. The heavenly fate test this time was really worth it. However, at this moment, a change occurred again. The heaven illuminators under Lin Xian's feet suddenly turned pitch black, turning into black lotuses that bloomed everywhere. What was going on? Was there a change? Black lotuses, lotuses blooming with every step? What the hell was going on? These people were all stunned. Those black lotuses kept blooming and then crazily wrapped around Lin Xian. They wanted to swallow Lin Xian. Lin Xian's pupils shrank. These lotuses. He was completely stunned. This sudden turn of events stunned all the people present. The bronze emissary was stunned again. This time his eyes almost fell out again. At the same time, the heaven illuminator disappeared. The destiny stone trembled, and blood gushed out from the 9 holes. It was abnormally strange and terrifying. It stained the starry sky, and the blood condensed into a huge killing intent. The killing intent was monstrous. At this moment, everyone couldn't help but want to kneel on the ground. Retreat, they frantically retreated. What was going on? The black lotuses reappeared, and blood dyed the blue sky. The bronze emissary screamed crazily and jumped up. You are a person abandoned by the heavens. Lin Xian was also shocked. The heaven illuminator he had created had long been dyed red by the blood. That immense killing intent almost caused his body to collapse. He frantically resisted, and at the same time, what shocked him even more was the black lotuses under his feet. How could he forget such a black lotus? He would remember it for the rest of his life. That was because when he was young, it was this lotus that sealed his meridians, preventing him from cultivating. After that, Wine Lord appeared and broke the black lotus, allowing him to cultivate. He thought that he would never see this lotus again in his life. But he didn't expect to see it again now. Moreover, these black lotuses wanted to seal him again. Damn it, what was going on? He activated his dragon-shaped sword chi and frantically resisted. The others were even more stunned. A person abandoned by the heavens? What did that mean? Could it be that he was abandoned by the heavens? But what was going on with the Heaven Illuminator? All of this was too strange. Even if these people were favored by the heavens, they were still stunned at this moment. Chapter 3998. Ha 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 ha. At this moment, someone laughed complacently. It was Yu Quan. His nerves were incomparably ferocious. What Heaven Illuminator? What great sage? You're a dead man. Did you see that kill? Heaven and earth will not tolerate it. Lin Wudi, you will definitely die. The others were also in an uproar. Emoshio jumped out and sneered. That's right, heaven and earth will not tolerate it. What are you still alive for? Hurry up and kneel down and accept your death. This sudden change shocked everyone. It was impossible, right? How could it be like this? The northern demon and the others exclaimed. Li Hongxiu also found it hard to understand. The dark red divine dragon frowned. Damn it, why did the blood fiend appear? How could the Heaven Illuminator disappear? How could that kid become a person abandoned by the heavens? One had to know that Lin Xian had many fortunes along the way. He had a divine body and a dragon sword soul. It was hard to find one in tens of thousands of years. And along the way, he had relied on his own strength to obtain all kinds of heavenly treasures. Such a person was simply the chosen one of the heavens. How could he be a person abandoned by the heavens? The toad screamed again. He had never felt as excited as today in his life. This, he stuttered again. Brother Xian. Morong Qingqing was incomparably nervous. She didn't care whether he was a heaven illuminator or a person abandoned by the heavens. She was very worried about Lin Xian. She was afraid that Lin Xian wouldn't be able to accept this fact. The heaven illuminator and the person abandoned by the heavens actually happened to the same person at the same time. What a strange thing. Chao Tiancheng had his hands behind his back. His brows were tightly knitted together. He couldn't understand this kind of thing. On the other side, Gu Feng heaved a sigh of relief. The corners of his mouth curled up into a cold smile. I was scared to death. I originally thought that he would completely surpass me. Now it seems that his path has come to an end. Such a person is not worthy of my attention. He shook his head and ignored it. How could a person abandoned by the heavens have a future? Humph. Jianchen also revealed a cold smile. Senior brother, it seems that we don't need to do anything. The heavens and earth will not tolerate him. The killing intent in Wang Jianyi's eyes also disappeared. He laughed. A person without a future is not worthy of us making a move. Lin Xian's expression was incomparably grave. He did not understand what the Black Lotus represented, and what it meant to be abandoned by the heavens. However, he felt a great sense of danger. Fortunately, he was now a powerful saint. He was no longer the weak young man from back then. The dragon-shaped sword chi swung out, bringing with it an unparalleled sharp aura that cut off everything. Those black lotuses were blocked by the sword chi, and could not get close at all. However, Lin Xian's expression was extremely serious. He lifted his head to look at the bronze envoy, and asked in a deep voice, Senior, what's going on? The bronze messenger was also stunned. His heart seemed to have been thrown into the 9 heavens before falling into a bottomless abyss. The young man in front of him had first conjured a heaven illuminator. This unprecedented illusion made him think that he was a young great emperor. But now, the illusion of a person who had been abandoned by the heavens appeared again, staining the starry sky with blood. These two illusions were actually on the same person. It was truly shocking. However, the bronze envoy knew what this meant. Therefore his voice turned icy cold. His meaning was already very clear. You have been abandoned by the heavens and earth and cannot exist in this world. He suddenly stretched out a large bronze hand and slammed it forward. This sudden scene stunned everyone. The bronze envoy had made his move. Previously, the bronze envoy had severely injured Wu Xian with a single finger. Could Lin Xian block it? Wouldn't this slap destroy Lin Xian's astral soul? Not good. The dark red divine dragon, Morong Qingqing, and the others cried out in alarm and wanted to help. However, just the aftermath of this energy made it impossible for them to move forward. On the other side lay Zhen the 9 Qilins, and the others were ecstatic. Jianchen and the others were even more excited. This was great. This attack would definitely kill the other party. He was still far from being able to fight with them. They did not even need to make a move to kill the other party. Lin Xian's pupils shrank. The bronze envoy was definitely a sacred venerate. He might even be a saint king. How could he possibly block such an attack? He felt cold all over. He could not even summon the power of the great sage pagoda. Was he going to die? He was unwilling to accept this. So what if he was an envoy? He activated the great dragon sword soul and roared madly. He would not sit still and wait for death. This was not his style. It was like throwing an egg against a rock. Wang Jiani, Gufeng, and the others sneered when they saw this scene. There was no suspense in this battle. At this critical moment, a ray of light suddenly shone. It enveloped the bronze hand. Then cracking sounds could be heard as countless bronze fragments scattered. The bronze hand in the sky was directly cut off. The bronze envoy grunted and retreated. Who was it? He roared madly. The others were stunned. What was going on? Lin Wudi was not dead. Someone actually saved Lin Wudi. This was impossible. Who in this world could stop the bronze envoy? Lin Xian was also stunned. Could it be? He turned his head. In the 9th heaven, a figure floated down and came to his side. It was a figure covered in black fog. It was impossible to see clearly. However, the aura he emitted was too strange and mysterious. Everyone felt an indescribable pressure as if their hearts were about to shatter. Who are you? The bronze envoy's pupils shrank. The aura this person gave him was very dangerous. Lin Xian smiled. Black Mountain, you're here. He did not expect Black Mountain to come at this critical moment. The dark red dragon heaved a sigh of relief. That's great, you old ghost. Do you know how dangerous it was just now? The dark red dragon roared at the back. Master and the North Demon also rushed over. Morong Qingqing heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that this was a top expert. With him around, Brother Xian should not be in danger. The toad shrunk its neck. It was scared to death. It naturally knew Black Mountain. It had seen him in the Golden Palace before. However, it did not expect him to be stronger than it had imagined. He actually dared to fight against the bronze envoy. Who was this person? Was there such a terrifying existence behind Lin Wudi? Yu Quan and Mo Xiu, and the others felt their hair stand on end. Gufeng and Wang Jianyi's faces became serious. Even Chao Tiansheng's face was solemn. Lei Zhen, the 9 Qilins, and the others screamed. It was him. How could it be? They had seen Black Mountain once. Previously, in the depths of the Golden Palace, there was a figure standing in front of the golden platform. At that time, although his back was facing them, they could recognize him at a glance. It was the figure in front of them. Heavens, who was this person? Why did he protect Lin Wudi? They were about to go crazy from anger. You dare to fight against me? Do you want to die? The bronze envoy's voice was unusually cold. Black Mountain snorted. Little envoy, you dare to be arrogant in front of me? Do you want to die? He was incomparably domineering. Chapter 3999. The bronze emissary's expression was cold. Which holy city are you from? He stared at him for a long time, but couldn't tell which holy city he was from. However, he soon snorted coldly. No matter which holy city you're from, this kid is abandoned by the heavens. If you dare to help him, you're going against the heavens. You'll definitely die. Do you dare? At this point, the destined star suddenly erupted with unparalleled power. Thunder fell from the heavens as if to destroy everything. Are you threatening me? Black Mountain snorted coldly. Can you represent the heavens? Abandoned by the heavens? You're just abandoned by the immortals. If this path doesn't work, there are other paths. If you dare to make a move, ask me first. An extremely terrifying aura also rushed out of Black Mountain's body. A jade-like rui appeared in his hand. He waved it lightly, and the thunder above him collapsed. The endless lightning was destroyed before it even landed. This scene shocked the bronze emissary even more. Damn it, how did this happen? The toad jumped up. Damn it, how did you get that thing? The others were also stunned. They remembered this jade Rui. Back then on the golden platform, there was a sleeping woman. She had the body of a human and the tail of a snake, and she was holding the jade Rui in her hand. Who would have thought that the other party would get his hands on it? How dare you use something that belongs to the queen? The toad was about to go crazy. It wanted nothing more than to pounce on the other party. However, it was stopped by the dark red holy dragon. Brother, don't worry. Old Black is too strong. You can't beat him. This person was really too strong. He could be easily destroyed by the tribulation lightning. What kind of existence was he? At the same time, they were even more shocked. Abandoned by the heavens? Abandoned by the immortals? What was going on? What did it mean? Even Lin Xian was stunned. It wasn't that he had no future. Was there another path? The bronze emissary's pupils constricted. How do you know? Who are you? He was too shocked. This kind of secret wasn't something that just anyone could know. Even the second astral realm didn't know. How did he know? Damn it! Could it be that he came from the third astral realm? The legendary realm? He couldn't believe it. But why would such a character appear here? That shouldn't be the case. The bronze emissary would never have guessed that Black Mountain was a great sage, and it was the remnant soul of the great sage. Lin Xian also asked, what does Black Mountain mean? What was an abandoned immortal? Speak clearly. He Shan said. We'll talk about this later. The one beside you is the red spider lily, right? I'll help you get rid of it. He would attack you Ryu and the resurrection lily, which instantly collapsed. Black lotus, red spider lily. Lin Xian was even more shocked. It seemed like He Shan knew a lot of things. Perhaps he could find out from He Shan who had sealed him? Why were these black lotuses targeting him? Damn it. Don't think that you can be so arrogant in front of me just because you know a little. I am the bronze emissary, and I have been ordered to guard planet Tianming. I have the final say in this world. At this point, the entire world began to tremble along with him. Boundless laws of heaven and earth gathered in his hand, forming a world in his palm. What do you have to contend with me? The world in his palm finally transformed into a bronze door. Everyone was very familiar with it. After crossing the bronze door, there was a strange space. However, they didn't expect that the bronze door could be used as a weapon in battle. Was this a sage artifact? The powerful aura shocked everyone. They were forced to crawl on the ground. He Shan snorted coldly. My cultivation hasn't recovered yet. Otherwise you wouldn't have the right to be so arrogant in front of me. Indeed, if he was in his peak state, he could kill the other party with one look. However, he was only a remnant soul now. Even so, he still had some tricks up his sleeve. Ryu in his hand flew out and blocked the bronze door. It even suppressed the bronze door. Impossible. What is this thing? Could it be? The bronze emissary was stunned. Even his bronze door was suppressed. At this moment, another person walked over from afar, coughing as she walked. How lively. An old woman came to take a look. It was an old woman with white hair and a walking stick. Her back was hunched, her face was sallow, and she was coughing. She looked very sick. She took 1 step, 2 steps, and arrived near the bronze emissary in an instant. Stop it. Don't do these things anymore. Otherwise, your wife will teach you a lesson. The old woman's voice was low, but it reached everyone's ears clearly. Many people exclaimed, Heavens, has another person appeared who looks down on the bronze emissary? It's really unbelievable. Is this person also here to help Lin Xian? Damn it. What kind of luck does Lin Wudi have to have so many experts protecting him? At this moment, countless people were jealous. Morong Qingqing heaved a sigh of relief. With He Shan around, he was relieved. Now that another mysterious expert had appeared, there shouldn't be any danger. Who are you? How dare you control me? The bronze emissary roared and struck out with his palm. Ah, how dare you attack my wife? The old woman was leaning on her walking stick with a flower basket hanging on it. She took out a pair of scissors from the basket and cut in front of her. The scissors suddenly let out a loud dragon roar and turned into 2 huge dragons, cutting the palm into pieces again. The bronze emissary retreated and screamed. Flood dragon scissors. You're the flower tailor. Damn you, you're here too? The bronze emissary's expression turned ugly. The surrounding people were surprised. Who is this person? Some of the top experts exclaimed. Could it be someone from the Heaven Dao Union? What? The Heaven Dao Union? The legendary existence that enforces justice on behalf of the heavens? Everyone had heard of this organization. This organization was very mysterious. It was said that they represented the heavens and earth to protect the safety of the top experts, to prevent some experts from being jealous and crazily attacking them. That's not right. Isn't Lin Wudi a person abandoned by the heavens? He shouldn't be tolerated by the heavens and earth. Why are the Heaven Dao helping him? They should kill him. At this moment, everyone went crazy. They really didn't understand what was going on. Even Lin Xian himself didn't understand. However, he wasn't unfamiliar with the Heaven Dao Union. Previously, when he was attacked by the mortal world, he met an expert from the Heaven Dao Union. At that time, it was a drunkard who gave him a bottle of wine. He didn't expect another flower tailor to appear now. It seemed that this flower tailor was even stronger. Do you still want to attack? The flower tailor continued to ask. Black Mountain sneered at the side. If you attack again, this will be your grave. No one had ever dared to threaten the bronze emissary. However, this time, the bronze emissary admitted defeat. The flower tailor was enough to make him feel like he was facing a great enemy, not to mention the mysterious person beside her. It was as terrifying as the jade in his hand. He snorted coldly. He is a person abandoned by the heavens. Even if you save him today, he will not be tolerated by the heavens and earth. And you will also be punished by the heavens and earth. I'm not afraid of threats. Black Mountain sneered and didn't care. Chapter 4000. Let's go, young man. Taylor Hua and Black Mountain joined forces and took Su Cheng, Morong Qingqing, and the others away. The others were extremely surprised. They didn't expect such a thing to happen. Could it be that this Lin Wudi wasn't really a person abandoned by the heavens? Damn it, no, they had to make a move. They definitely couldn't let him live. Originally, they thought that with the bronze envoy's help, the other party was dead for sure. Moreover, the other party had no future. But now, it seemed that this wasn't the case at all. The fact that the people of the Heavenly Dao Alliance had helped meant that there must be a secret. But they didn't know what it was exactly. More importantly, the other party had condensed a heaven illuminator. This was an existence that surpassed the great sage. Therefore, they absolutely couldn't allow such a person to exist. They had to kill him. In an instant, many holy cities began to plan. After leaving the heavenly fate star, they were about to start a crazy hunt. On the other side, Taylor Hua and Black Mountain joined hands and left the bronze envoy with Lin Xian. However, they didn't leave the heavenly fate star. Instead, they came to a safe place at the edge. Black Mountain used the jade in his hand to form an independent space that enveloped everyone. He said that this place wouldn't be controlled by the heavenly fate star. The toad looked at the jade with red eyes, but it didn't dare to say anything. They all heaved a sigh of relief. Lin Xian cupped his fists and said, "Thank you, Senior, for your help. Young man, your future is limitless. It's our duty to protect young geniuses like you. Not only you, but if other top geniuses are persecuted like this, we will definitely help." Taylor Hua said, "Senior, what's going on? Black Mountain, do you know? Hurry up and tell me." Lin Xian was too confused. What happened today was completely beyond his expectations. The black lotus that sealed him appeared again. And it was called the Red Spider Lily. He used the heaven illuminator to surpass the great sage. Then he became a person abandoned by the heavens. Black Mountain said that he was abandoned by the immortals. What was the difference between the two? What surprised him even more was that the Heavenly Dao Alliance, which claimed to enforce justice on behalf of the heavens, was protecting him at this moment. Wasn't this the exact opposite of what the Destiny Stone had shown? Morong Qingqing and the others were also confused, so they all looked at Black Mountain and Flower Tailor. Heishan said, "Kid, there are some things that you know too early. When you have the strength in the future and step into that realm, you will naturally understand." Damn it, old man. Everyone's hearts were itching with anxiety. They didn't expect that the other party wouldn't say anything. Lin Xian also sighed. He had not expected that the other party would actually hold back. However, Heishan added, Don't worry. If this path doesn't work, there are other paths. You just need to walk down with peace of mind. As for the embroidered tailor at the side, I have something to say. You are indeed not a person abandoned by the heavens, but a person abandoned by the immortals. Although we are known as the Heavenly Tao Union in the outside world, our true name is the Deity Tao Union. We are not in the same league as them. Everyone was stunned. There was too much information in these words. They were all confused. What was the meaning of this? Lin Xian's eyes flickered. He felt that he did not know most of the things now. For example, who exactly were the Black Lotus Flower and the Bronze Envoy? However, Xiao Chen understood. The faction behind the Bronze Envoy and the Embroidered Tailor were two different factions. These two factions could represent the heavens. However, there was a subdivision. As for the other sages in the outside world, they did not know. They all thought that these two factions represented the Heavenly Tao. That was probably why the previous incident happened. If that was the case, then Lin Xian had nothing to fear. Xiao Chen smiled coldly. So what if he was a person abandoned by the immortals? Since he was not recognized by the Bronze Envoy's faction, then he would take another path. Heishan also said that this path did not work. There were other paths. Heishan wanted to end Xiao Chen's life and death with just one destiny stone? That was too simple. An extremely terrifying light burst out of Lin Xian's eyes. Brat, you are not dispirited or afraid. This makes me feel very gratified. When Heishan saw Lin Xian's expression, he nodded in satisfaction. What is there to be afraid of? You already said that we are not in the same league. What can they do to me? Young man, just cultivate properly. There is no need to be afraid of them. We will help you block those people. Old woman, this is something we can do. Many thanks, senior. Lin Xian performed a cupped fist salute. Given the Bronze Envoy status, it was even scarier than the Holy City. If those people wanted to attack, Xiao Chen would be in great danger. Now, with the Deity Tao Union's guarantee, those mysterious factions should not touch Xiao Chen. However, there was still one more problem. Lin Xian felt very confused. Why did they target him? Lin Xian could not understand. This was especially so for that Black Lotus Flower. Why did it want to seal him? After all, Xiao Chen was not the only one with exceptional talent. Even Heishan was confused about this. He could not explain it either. The embroidered tailor, who was at the side, revealed a look of shock. She sized up Lin Xian again. Perhaps it was that possibility. Heishan did not elaborate. Instead, she instructed him again. Your future path might be very dangerous. However, if you can charge out, it is not impossible for you to become a heaven illuminator in the future. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Becoming a heaven illuminator. Was that really a supreme existence above the great sage? Could Lin Xian really reach that step? Lin Xian also sucked in a deep breath of air, his eyes filled with excitement. Many thanks, senior. Now they just had to wait here. With the Destiny Stone activated, there was not much time left before they left the Destiny Star. Hence they waited patiently. On the other side, the atmosphere at the Bronze Envoy's side was incredibly awkward. The extremely strong Bronze Envoy actually retreated in fear. The surrounding people were all stunned. Most of the important people had already tested the Destiny Stone. As for the others, they did not dare to step forward. If they angered the Bronze Envoy now, not to mention testing the Destiny Stone, they might even lose their lives. This fellow was too strange. The things that happened to him were too strange. Right, that was right. Quickly get rid of him. Everyone thought that Lin Xian did not have a future, and would definitely die. However, the Heavenly Tao Union's people chased him away. This meant that there was still hope for him. Furthermore, if he could continue living, could he become a heaven illuminator? When they thought of this possibility, they were extremely terrified. They absolutely could not allow such a person to exist. These people decided that they would immediately attack and kill him when they returned. Just like that, they waited for another 3 days. After 3 days, the seal on the Destiny Star was unlocked. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Were they finally leaving? They had already stayed on the Destiny Star for several years. During this time, they had obtained countless treasures. However, many of their companions had also fallen. Now that they were leaving, it was like a dream. Let's go. These people all soared into the sky. Quickly, they had to get in front of Lin Wudi. Inform the people of the sacred land to join forces to kill him. Chapter 4001. Lei Zhen, Nine-Headed Qilin Yuquan, Emotio, and the others were moving very fast. Wan Jiani had already started to contact the people of the Myriad Sword Pavilion. On the other side, Lin Xian and the others were also moving. They turned into a stream of light and flew out quickly. Outside the heavenly fate planet, countless experts and saints were waiting. Many of them were minor saints and powerful elders. At this moment, their faces were solemn and filled with anxiety. A few years had passed. Those people inside should have obtained some good fortune. Of course, some elders of the sacred city were gnashing their teeth. They all had soul tablets in their hands and knew how many people had died. It was because of this that they were so angry that they vomited blood. The reason for that was because they discovered that the number of deaths far exceeded their expectations. Especially the Yellow Spring Palace and Great Desolate Prefecture, they were gnashing their teeth, because they realized that their chief disciples had died inside. This was intolerable. No matter who it was, they must kill him. These people were all holding sacred weapons, ready to move at any time. Finally, their eyelids twitched and they exclaimed, "He's here." In the mysterious world of stars in the distance, there was a bright light that pierced through the void and flew towards the universe outside. This was great. They knew that the people inside had finally come out. One figure after another flashed past quickly. The aura was unusually strong. It was Lei Zhen. His strength had become stronger. He was now at the late stage of the ninth heaven. He was not far from becoming a minor saint. The people of Thunder God City exclaimed, "This was great. He should be able to successfully become a minor saint after coming out of seclusion for a period of time." However, they realized that Lei Zhen's face was not looking good. What's going on? What happened? They were puzzled. A few minor saints quickly flew over. On the other side, Nine-Headed Qilin also came out. He was also at the late stage of the fifth heaven. The elders of the Thousand Demon City all surrounded him. What's going on? Why is his face so ugly? What happened? They quickly asked. Oh right, why did so many of our geniuses die? Nine-Headed Qilin's face was ugly. He wanted to cry facing the elders. It was not only the geniuses that died, but he had also lost several lives. Now he only had 4 lives left. How could he reason with them? On the other side, Lei Zhen also gritted his teeth and said, "Elder, quickly kill Lin Wudi. He must not be allowed to leave this place alive." On the other side, the 9 Qilins also roared. That's right, attack and kill Lin Wudi, destroy his mind and soul. The 2 great Sage City elders cried out in alarm. Could it be that the deaths of our people were all caused by that brat? Yes, that's right. Lei Zhen nodded. However, there was a more important reason. Lin Wudi absolutely could not be allowed to live. There was another reason? What is it? These people exclaimed. The experts of the Great Desolation Mansion and Acheron Palace rushed out. As soon as these people came out, they roared, "Elder, hurry up and attack. Find Lin Wudi and tear him to pieces." The surrounding saints were all stunned. It was Lin Wudi again. Heavens, what did Lin Wudi do to provoke so much anger from the crowd? Our chief disciple was killed by him. That's right, he killed us, the chief disciple of the Great Desolate Mansion. Everyone was stunned. The chief disciples of the Acheron Palace and Great Desolate Mansion were all killed by him. It was too unbelievable. What kind of fortune did this Lin Wudi obtain in there? Not only that, most of the people who died in there were killed by him. These people gritted their teeth. There was a more important reason. They must not let him live. There was another reason. What was the reason? These people were all stunned. They didn't have time to ask, because more and more people rushed out from the heavenly fate planet. In the next moment, they screamed. At this moment, there were a few extremely powerful people. After they came out, their cultivation base instantly reached the 5th heavenly layer, reaching the minor saint realm. They roared at the sky. That power made some of the elders of the sacred city shudder. It was too strong. There were really minor saints who had sneaked in. They didn't dare to imagine. Such a person was like a god on the heavenly fate planet. However, they were soon stunned. Because in these 2 moments, the little saint experts raised their heads and roared at the sky. Lin Wudi, I'll fight you to the death. Lin Wudi, today is the day you die. What was going on? It was related to Lin Wudi again. The surrounding people were stunned. Those were minor saints. Lin Wudi even dared to provoke such a person. No, they were on the pilgrim roll. Finally, someone screamed and recognized them. They were on the pilgrim roll. That was Emoshio and Yu Quan. Both of them were geniuses on the pilgrim roll. The pilgrim roll was a very powerful roll. If one was not an extremely powerful saint, it would be impossible to get on it. Lin Wudi was able to incur the wrath of someone on the pilgrim list. What did he do? At this moment, everyone was stunned. They all wanted to know. When the elders of the myriad demon city, Thunder God City, Great Desolate Mansion, and Acheron Palace heard the news, they also moved. Although they didn't understand now, they had to find Lin Xian and control him first. Buzz. Suddenly, countless powerful sword chi flashed between heaven and earth, tearing the void apart. They were from the sword pavilion. Many people felt their scalps go numb. This was a group of sword saints. When they were angry, everyone would be afraid. When they came out, they were also roaring. Therefore, they would not stop until they killed Lin Wudi. The surrounding sacred city people were about to vomit blood. Lin Wudi again. How many people did Lin Wudi provoke in the past? Why do I feel that he has made the world his enemy? At this moment, Wang Jiani came out. On the other side, Gufeng also came out. He appeared in a very mysterious way. In just a moment, he disappeared into the void. The crowd didn't know if the expert in this space had left or hidden. On the other side, Chao Tiansheng also came out with his people. The surrounding people were really surprised. It seemed that all the people on the pilgrim roll had entered. They didn't know what kind of destiny these people had. To be honest, what they were looking forward to the most was the future of these people. After all, this was related to the fate of their sacred city. At the same time, they were also curious about what Lin Xian had done. Wushuang City, Watersky City, Shirbufan, and the others also came out. These people were younger than the other disciples of the sacred city, so they had their own strategies. They didn't go to fight for the fortune of the hot spot, but lost some other places. Although this opportunity might not be as great as the others, at least they came safely. Therefore, these people were very satisfied with their breakthroughs. They didn't go to the fortune test, so they didn't know what had happened before. At this moment, when they heard that Lin Xian was being attacked by so many sacred city people, they were also scared. What did eldest senior brother do? No, we have to inform the elders of Wushuang City quickly. The situation was very bad. At this moment, Yu Quan stood out and said loudly, Lin Wudi killed the sacred city's geniuses. His crime was punishable by death. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.